Next, I'm going to show you how to get your RVC models set up into Tortoise TTS. So after going through the RVC lessons, you should have a project main folder in your Google Drive. Here, you just want to go to Assets, Weights, and then find the PTH file, which is your trained RVC model. In the lesson, I did Freeman-lesson PTH as an example, but my fully trained model was Morgan Test 350 epochs. So I'm just going to go ahead and download this. Then you want to go back into project main, go into logs, go into what your model's called. Next, I'm going to show you how to get your RVC model set up into Tortoise TTS. So after going through the RVC lessons, you should have a project main folder in your Google Drive. Here, you just want to go to Assets, Weights, and then find the PTH file, which is your trained RVC model. In the lesson, I did Freeman-lesson PTH as an example, but my fully trained model was Morgan Test 350 epochs. So I'm just going to go ahead and download this. Then you want to go back into project main, go into logs, go into what your model's called. Mine was Freeman-lesson. And then you want to find your index file, which is this file here. That's called added IVF559 flat blah blah blah. At the end, it'll say the name of your model, which mine was Freeman-lesson, and then V2 index. You want to download this as well. Then what you want to do is go into your AI voice cloning folder, go into models, then RVC models. And I've already added my models in since I created these previously. But what you would do is just drag in the model in the index file that you just downloaded and put it into this RVC models folder. Then we can go into Tortoise TTS. And if you hit refresh voice list and then click show experimental settings, you can see that we have the option for our RVC voice model and our RVC index file. So if you just click this, you can find any models that you have in that folder. Same thing with the indexes. You can find any indexes that you have in that folder. Same as before, we have the index rate. You can ignore the pitch, filter radius, all the other stuff that we ignored in the RVC model. The volume envelope is the same as the volume normalization in the collab notebook. So this is something you can play with here. Everything else is normally good to leave at default. One thing that you can mess around with if you're getting undesirable output through TTS is the length penalty and repetition penalty. Length penalty is good around 2 to 4, sometimes even up to 6. Repetition penalty around 4, sometimes even up to 8. This will make it so if sometimes your words are being dragged out too long, you can bring this length penalty down and it'll shorten up the sentences. Sometimes these locally trained TTS models aren't perfect and they'll repeat some of the words in your sentence. So you can bring this repetition penalty up and that will cut that down. So let's check out what this same exact audio sounded like run through the RVC. Now if I play this,
your brother just crashed his car.
And you can tell it's not the highest quality audio. It obviously sounds a lot more like Morgan Freeman, but just like before, it has that bit of background noise, and that's because of the training data that we've given it with the background noise from AI. So we can put this through Runway's clean audio again, and that would make it a lot better. But this was all just for demonstration purposes. You can get very, very good results if you give it clean training data for both your RVC model and your TTS model, and you can get pretty much identical voices to whatever you're trying to get. Just two quick things I want to touch on. We have the seed here, which is the same concept that we have throughout all of our AI courses. It's the number that tells the AI how to generate something in a certain way. So if you were to get the seed number that was produced with a certain AI audio output and paste it in here, the audios would be similar every time you generated it. Even if you changed up the words, the way that it's generated would sound similar. Then another important one is the temperature here. By default, it's at 0.2, and this is how creative the AI model can get when generating the audio. So if you're finding that you're getting the same thing over and over again, and it's not really what you want, you can bring this up and it'll allow the AI to get a bit more creative and give you some more expression. Conversely, if your outputs are a bit too wild or unexpected, you can bring this down and it'll behave more to how it's been trained. In this lesson, we'll be checking out Suno AI, which is the leading AI music generation tool currently on the market. So head to suno.ai in your browser, and you'll be greeted by this page. Suno uses text to song, so essentially you can write in a prompt and it'll give you a song in return. And they've designed this neat little interface to showcase some of the songs that have been made with Suno. If you want to hear them, you can just come down to this sound button at the bottom and start listening. In the darkest sky. So if we want to test this out, we can just click make a song. So from there, you'll actually be brought into the Suno app. The first thing you'll be greeted with is the explore page where you can hear the trending songs that other creators have made. For instance, if you want to check one of these out, you can just come down and hit the play button. So just from those couple of seconds, you can tell that the quality is very good. So if you weren't paying attention, some of these might even pass as traditionally created music. And then here we have our prompt box where we can create a song. You'll see that if we want to create, we'll need to sign up for an account. So you can just hit this create button and then you can create an account. Once you create an account, you can find the available plans that they have. With the basic plan, which is the free plan, you get 50 free credits that renew every day. This amounts to about 10 songs. Then for the pro plan, which if you switch to monthly billing is $10 a month, and you get about 500 songs. And the premier plan is $30 a month, and you get 2,000 songs. Then to start generating songs, we can come over to the create tab here. Here we have a simple song description box where we can type a prompt with the style of song we want. If we want the lyrics to be about any particular thing or what type of singer we want, etc. You can see if you come to this little question mark next to the song description, it says describe the style of music and topic you want. Use genres and vibes instead of specific artists and songs. So being more general about what you're looking for will result in better outcomes. So if we just want to test this out, we can type something like a hard trap song about making money and see what this comes up with. While those are downloading, let me just explain this little drop down. You have V2 and V3. V3 is the newest version and can generate songs up to 2 minutes long. It's also the most improved, so I recommend going with V3. So by default, this will generate 2 songs for us. It will automatically give us a title and a genre for the song. Then from here, we can just preview it.
I hustle hard, can't you see? Stacking Benjamins. I hustle hard, can't you see? Stacking Benjamins.
Now, obviously, these aren't the best results, but you can see where you can take this. If you wanted just to use an instrumental with no lyrics, you can toggle on this button here, and then you could use a different genre if you wanted. I'll just type in Afrobeats and hit create. So again, those weren't really the best, but we just did some minimal prompting and we can get even more control in custom mode, which I will show you in the next lesson. But I'm sure you can see where you can start to take this. This will be a game changer for musicians when just generating ideas for songs. It'll also be very useful as it improves for editing, because instead of having to find the perfect song, you can just prompt it, and with some minimal post-processing, it can sound pretty nice to incorporate into your edits. When we jump to the next lesson, I'm going to show you custom mode, which gives you a bit more control over your generations. So now let's jump over into custom mode in Suno. Once you're in the create tab, you just want to come to this custom mode option up here. From here, we can create our own lyrics, or we can set a topic and have the AI create lyrics for us. So for instance, I could type a song about an online modern wealth creation platform. Then for the style of music, maybe we can get creative. Let me write EDM, trap. That might be interesting. Then we can enter a title, or we can leave it blank, and the AI will automatically come up with a title for us. And then lastly, select our model. I'm going to leave it on V3. Once you have your topic typed, you can hit generate lyrics. And you can see this has now generated some lyrics for us based on our prompt. You can see we have I wake up early in the morning, grab my laptop and my phone, open up my browser, enter in my zone, blah, blah, blah. It follows the exact theme that we've set. Another route you could take is using a custom GPT that's meant for songwriting, or just using the base ChatGPT 3.5 model to give you some lyrics and then put these in here. Or of course, you can write them yourself. And from here, we can hit create. All right, so let's preview one of these. I'm just going to click this bottom one.
I wake up early in the morning, grab my laptop and my phone. Open up my browser, enter in my own zone. Scrolling through the feeds, searching for a sign, a way to make some money without wasting all my time.
Alright, so that is what it is, but you can see that it's followed the lyrics. It actually incorporates some pretty nice. Harmonically, everything sounds good. Sounds like it could be an actual song. Something that I noticed is the voices do sound a bit flat, meaning that they don't really stick out in the mix at all. But I'm sure this will improve with time, and with some post-processing, you could improve this a bit. Now I'm going to try this again with an instrumental and hit create. So something that you'll notice is that when you include lyrics in your song, the singing often starts right away. So to avoid that, what you could do is generate an instrumental, and then you can use this continue from song feature to start lyrics at a certain point in your song and extend it. So let's just preview one of these tracks. So that one definitely has an EDM trap mixture. Now if we want to click those three dots and hit continue from the song, over here on the left side of the panel, we have continue from. By default, it continues from the last second of the song. I'm just going to set this to 17 seconds. Then I'm going to generate some lyrics. So let's just say driving fast and then generate lyrics. Let's enter the same style of music and do EDM trap. Then we'll hit continue. So if we just preview one of these tracks now, you can see that it's queued up again and it says part 2. Alright, so not the best, but I'm not really aiming for the best results here. I'm just more showing you what you can do. This is something that you can really refine and get some pretty impressive results with. So another feature that we have is the remix option. So if you have a song that you've already generated, or if there's something in the Explore tab that you want to remix, you can just come to the three dots and then you can hit the remix button and then you'll get all of these settings that was used to create the song. So for instance, I'll take this one with the lyrics and see what it sounds like as Brazilian funk. Then we can hit create. Alright, so let's preview one of these. So it's not awful, but again, you can definitely see where you can start to take this. You can either start incorporating these generations into your edits directly if they sound good enough, or you can use them to get ideas for your edits and see what type of genres and music will fit.
The learning offered here is specifically designed for individuals looking to build and monetize a personal brand through speaking directly to the camera. Building a personal brand is a long journey that starts with mastering how to speak to the camera. That's why the first skill you'll learn here is exactly that, and you'll start generating income from this skill right away. You have a niche, you have prospects, and as part of your daily checklist, you are required to send 3 to 10 performance outreaches. Your service revolves around creating reviews and testimonials for businesses and brands to use, also known as user-generated content. You will participate in a 10-day workshop focused on honing your skills in speaking to the camera by learning how to sell digital and physical products. Once you've learned how to do this, this is the free value you will provide your prospects and the service you will offer. Now, you might be wondering how providing reviews to businesses selling their products relates to building an influential personal brand through talk to camera skills. My response to this question is money in. You will reach a stage where you learn how personal brands are monetized. However, the initial step is mastering how to speak to the camera and start earning money from it right away. When someone first starts recording or speaking to a camera, their self-consciousness about their appearance and speech often leads them to overlook the basics of camera setup. That's why we're going to begin with spatial awareness. It's quite common for students to angle their camera in such a way that there's a large gap above their head when they first start recording themselves. You might argue and say, well, I can fix that in post-production, but that is not considered good practice. A good practice when preparing to record is to set up the camera angle. Make sure you understand the real estate that you have from the camera. Ensure there isn't too much gap above your head. You want to make sure some of your torso is visible, your hands can be seen, and you are centered in the video. This technique ensures you maintain engaging eye contact when looking down the lens and promotes a generally good posture whilst filming. Just so you know, this advice applies to horizontal videos as well, not just vertical ones. Another frequent mistake I observe is that many students become anxious during their first recording session, leading some to speak at a slow pace or too fast. Here's an example of speaking quickly.
This is how the Go path in the CC plus AI campus took me from absolute broke to absolute G. I remember I had $0 in my bank account until I learned how to create user-generated content taught by the Pope, which has allowed me to get in $600 in 3 days just from user-generated content alone.
There's no need to rush or force yourself. Just be natural when you're on camera. Another frequent mistake is students positioning the camera either too high or too low. This results in the appearance that you are either speaking up to someone, suggesting a position of inferiority, or speaking down to someone, implying a position of superiority. You should position the camera so it's at eye level, creating a sense of equality and direct engagement with the person you're trying to connect with. Now that we've covered the camera basics, I encourage you to apply what you've learned. Simply hit record and introduce yourself. It doesn't need to be a long video. Make sure to upload it via G Drive or Streamable to the Influential Submissions channel within the Go Path workshop. This is an icebreaker and something you should be accustomed to doing, as all lessons going forward will require you to record specific exercises to develop your talk to camera skills. Before beginning your practice submissions, there are 5 important things to remember. Number 1, be authentic. First, change your way of thinking and understand that being genuine is important. People watching you want to connect with real individuals, so it's crucial to be yourself above all. Number 2, right state of mind. Being authentic doesn't just mean showing emotions. Think about how different you are right after waking up compared to after a workout and a coffee. There is a change. I suggest doing your on-camera talking after an activity that boosts your energy or mood, like exercising, doing breathing exercises, or even meditating. Number 3, eye contact. When talking to camera, make sure to look directly into the lens, not at your camera or phone screen. This helps create a sense of direct engagement with your viewers. However, try to keep it natural and avoid staring too intensely. It's okay to break eye contact occasionally. What you want to do is aim to maintain eye contact with the lens about 70 to 80% of the time. Number 4, pause rather than Many people naturally use filler sounds like or when they speak, and this can increase when we're nervous, such as the first time we talk on camera. Instead of using these fillers, try leaving a pause. This means we need to become comfortable with silence. Number 5, structure. I generally advise people against reading from a script. Instead, write 3 key points down you want to discuss. Memorize these 3 key points, and then your structure should be hook, introduction, your 3 points, and then your CTA, outro. Remember, practice makes perfect.
Okay, day 1, attribute 1, let's go. This is all about authenticity, being yourself. So in this video, I'm going to cover what authenticity is, and I'm also going to give you the groundwork to understand how to become more authentic. So authenticity is the foundation of the 4 attributes. For example, if we did not have authenticity, yet we were great emotive speakers, we would come across as fake. So we could be very emotional, we could be very sad, we could be extremely happy. But if it's not linked to our authenticity, it comes across very off-putting and very weird. So the first thing before any of the other attributes is authenticity. As human beings, we're always kind of looking for authenticity. We can connect with authenticity from other people and within ourselves. So think about it. If you've ever been in a group conversation or a group setting and environment, and there's this one person that has given you this inauthentic vibes, straight away we feel some type of way about them. And that's because our natural behavior is to repel anything that feels inauthentic. So straight away we don't trust them. Our guard goes up and we tend not to get comfortable around those type of people. So if you want to make people feel comfortable and connected to your videos, then you need to be authentic. So let's start with this concept. There'll be a certain amount of thoughts and feelings, and therefore words that you'll say, which isn't really you. It's almost a mix of belief systems from maybe your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, your friends. And some of it will be you. It'll be thoughts and experiences you've organically connected together, which does feel more like you. So a great example of this is a clip that I seen of Andrew Tate, and I remember specifically his use of authenticity. And I think the clip goes along the lines of something about the journey from being broke to rich. There's almost two ways you can look at it, right? So if Andrew Tate was to say something along the lines of making money is a journey, you have to enjoy the journey to become rich. Okay, so this is authentic, but it comes across very cliche. It's not linked at all to any personal experience or any form of storytelling. So what Andrew Tate actually does in a way to make this sound more authentic is he links it to an authentic feeling of being in a supercar. So if I recall the clip correctly, he says something along the lines of, you don't feel the power of a supercar at 100. You feel the power from 0 to 100, the acceleration it takes to get there. That is what it's like becoming rich. The process is what's most enjoyable. If you're just born at 100 miles per hour, it doesn't feel like anything. So it's worth mentioning Andrew Tate is an absolute master at the 4 attributes we are and will be discussing. Okay, so to address the elephant in the room, how do we know if we are being authentic? A great test for this is by understanding that if what you say makes you feel stronger or weaker. What do I mean by this? So an example of this is if you imagine your first ever video, you set up the camera and you start to feel awkward, you feel nervous. So it's not uncommon that you'd act confident, and when you do that, you most likely actually feel weaker because you are in fact acting. Funnily enough, if you started the video almost like saying I feel awkward right now talking to the camera, but I'm going to try my best and give it a go. Obviously, this is not how you'd start all your videos going forward, but as an example, the second approach would actually make you feel stronger. You've actually said what you feel, and that's a really great way to understand if you're being authentic or not. Okay, so those are some of the key concepts on authenticity, and we're going to build on these in the next lesson. Okay, day 1, attribute 1, let's go. This is all about authenticity, being yourself. So in this video, I'm going to cover what authenticity is, and so another trick to authenticity is not just about what you say, it's also about how you say certain things. So you can say truthful things in a way that comes across authentic and also in a way that comes across non-authentic. An easy example of this is saying something that is true. So let's say I like pineapples, right? So I can say to you, I really like pineapples. I really like them. I just like pineapples. They're so tasty. So it probably doesn't seem authentic, right? It was kind of soulless, even though I said the truth. I genuinely do like pineapples. And that was following the previous lesson's advice, but it didn't necessarily hit that authenticity spot. So in this lesson, what we're actually doing is talking about how you say something authentic and about its connection. So if you've ever experienced saying something and afterwards you have that feeling or sigh of relief, like that felt so good. It felt so good to actually say that. So then that's a really great example of being authentic. That kind of satisfying feeling or just expressing something that you've been dying to get off your chest, that is the connection we're looking for. So let's use the example of pineapples again, right? And if I take a second to actually connect my bodily sensations of pineapples, the feeling of eating pineapples, the texture of a pineapple, how juicy a pineapple is. And I'm actually thirsty right now. So what I can actually say to you is, oh man, I just love pineapples. I really feel like a pineapple at the moment. Most likely that came across a lot more authentic than the previous example. Why? Because I literally felt it and I was communicating it to you. So some experts call this the process of self-connection, integration, and it's this kind of connection between your mind, your body, and your emotions that produces this state of compatibility. Basically, you say what you think and feel, and naturally, it's a kind of attractive thing to be around. So developing this connection and being able to truly feel what you are saying and start building this true authenticity comes from being able to connect with your bodily senses. So from the previous lesson, we understood that what you say is a very important thing, but also what we're starting to learn is how you feel when saying that is also really important. And you'll see in day 2 how this all connects together with emotive speech. So there are 2 ways to develop this connection, and they both kind of lead to the same outcome. The first is presence, almost having a peace of mind where you're not overthinking and you're kind of grounded in the here and now whilst talking to the camera. And the other way is getting into your body, so to speak. It's kind of like having awareness of your body and awareness of the room, where you are. And essentially, what this allows you to do is to be less stiff and a bit more flowy. So we're going to be explaining this concept a bit further and putting into action these ideas in some of the practical exercises for today. So another trick to authenticity is not just about what you say, it's also practical exercise 1. Talk about your purpose. So in this exercise, we're going to be exploring if what you say comes from you or if it comes from external sources, and it allow us to develop your authenticity. So the best way I found to do this is to talk about your purpose. Not all of us have a very clear purpose. Some of us are in stages, but either way, you want to try and talk about your why, what motivates you and what drives you. So when you're talking about your purpose, what I want you to try and do is get into this feeling of connection with what you're saying. And I want you to use this opportunity to explore if what you're saying actually connects with your body and if it feels like it's making you stronger or if it's making you weaker. So for this practical exercise, you can talk to the camera about your overall purpose or your purpose within the real world. And I want you to ensure you stick to the hook, 3 points, and CTA outro method. You don't necessarily need to worry about the length of your submission. Essentially, this exercise itself is an experiment and exploration of you just paying attention to your true authenticity. Practical exercise. Okay, so hear me out. Nobody gives a fuck. If we aren't able to understand this, then we will always take ourselves away from being authentic. The fear of judgment, and it goes both ways, you judging somebody else and the fear of being judged. Most of us do it whether we like it or not. So in this exercise, we're going to be exploring judgment. So what I want you to do is imagine somebody that you don't like or perhaps you find annoying. And as you imagine thoughts of them, you're probably feeling a certain amount of rejection or even anger towards them, right? Now, what I want you to do is to try and remove that judgment. Imagine a world where there's no judgment. Everybody's a blank canvas. A really great way to kind of conceptualize this is to think of the person that you've currently got in your mind as a child. Innocent, right? A child is neither good or bad, and the experiences that person's had throughout life is what's made them how they are currently. Obviously, it's their fault and their responsibility for how they are, but if you can just see it as a collection of events and series that have occurred and you're able to remove that level of judgment from them, then you can kind of grasp this bigger picture and it allows you to not judge as much. So then what you want to do is to take that and then apply it to yourself, and any kind of self-judgment that you have, your aim is to reduce this completely when talking to the camera. So this is entirely linked to the fear of other people judging you. It's actually a self-judgment process, and everybody is walking around being afraid of thinking of what that person thinks of them, what this person thinks of them in any social setting. So imagine yourself now, and I want you to remove any feelings of judgment you have towards yourself. So those feelings could be how you look, how you sound, if you're not in shape, what you wear, could be anything, right? Yeah, so take the time to remove self-judgment because nobody gives a fuck. Everybody is busy judging themselves. Get your mind to a place of a clean slate and then make a video starting from that place. You can either talk about whatever comes to mind, you can talk about the real world, but it must be from a place without judgment. So what this exercise should allow you to do is to align yourself with the more authentic version of you. And essentially you don't have these layers of judgment making you kind of overthink and feel rigid when talking to camera. Okay, so hear me out. No face, no case. This is a simple exercise, and what I want you to do is record yourself talking to camera, but don't show anybody, and also be in a place where nobody can hear you. So what this will allow you to do is literally have a conversation with yourself. You know nobody is going to see the video and nobody is listening to you, and it can really just be you and the camera. And what I want you to do is to pay close attention to how you might feel or sound versus a video that you know you're going to show to other people. Usually there's a distinct difference. So the aim of this is for you to understand the two different versions and bring those together. So look, they'll never be completely the same. In your no face, no case video, you might swear, you might have a lot of ums, ahs, and all sorts of stuff, right? But what we want to do is try and find this area where we can bridge the two things together. So you can kind of bring that side from no face, no case over to the videos that you're perhaps going to share and forward along the journey. So this is a really interesting exercise to do. And I won't necessarily know whether you've done it or not, but it'll definitely show as you go further through the modules, because what this allows you to do is kind of understand your true authenticity and your talk to camera authenticity. And like I said, you want to try and bridge and close this gap and bring that together. So yeah, just enjoy this one. No face, no case. Okay, so in the nose, out the mouth. This is about that bodily connection and a way to get there. So it's a simple breathing technique and it's there to make you more relaxed, lower any stress levels and calm you down. Basically, what this allows you to do is to get out of your mind a little and be more present when talking and get you to a state where you're able to connect with yourself. And it is genuinely as simple as this. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold at the top for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 4 seconds. Do this a few times and then talk to camera. So I want you to record yourself doing this and feel free to talk about anything, or you can talk about the real world. Okay, so in the nose, shake it out. This exercise is a great way to get out of your body. So what I want you to do is think of a boxer or a fighter getting in a ring or before a fight and a spar, whatever it might be, right? You'll notice they tend to kind of shake themselves out. And that is because it's a great way to activate you. So the same as all previous submissions, record yourself shaking it out and then begin to talk to camera. I want you to think of this as a shortcut to getting into a state of when your body feels loose. So after a workout or going on a run and then talking to camera, your body will feel much looser. This is almost like a shortcut to get there. And essentially we do this because your body is a big part of your expression. If you're in a stiff body and say you've been working all day on a laptop, hunched over, you'll most likely not feel in touch with your body in terms of expressing yourself. So just as a quick tip, a great way of doing this is kind of leaning back and stretching your arms out, perhaps even breathing and then shaking it out. A combination of the previous exercise and this exercise and then talking to the camera. Shake it out. Okay, so congratulations, you've made it through day one. Hopefully you've posted all your submissions for each practical exercise, as I will be personally assessing all of these prior to assessing your authenticity exam. So what do I want you to do? I want you to record one video submission of yourself talking to camera, applying the lessons learned from this module, selling a digital product. So what digital product will you be selling? The real world, right? We all have the real world in common. We've all had benefits from it. We've all had experience within the real world. So what I want you to do is sell the real world, right? And remember to be authentic in your hook, your 3 storytelling points, and include a CTA outro. Okay. All right, welcome to day 2, and today we are going to be going over emotive speech. Generally, emotion is something that we should avoid. You know, we don't want to get too emotional. We want to be in our heads and be logical. However, this is not about being emotional. It's not about being really happy or really sad, any of those type of things. Instead, it's about communicating emotively, allowing the audience to feel the emotions you're feeling when talking to camera. So a great example of this is, let's just say you want to meet Andrew Tate, right? And you finally get to meet Andrew Tate and he's there in the flesh. You pull out your camera and you start talking to camera. Yeah, I'm here with Andrew Tate. I'm so glad to finally meet him. I'm so ecstatic. I'm really excited and happy. Now, there's authenticity in it because obviously you wanted to meet Andrew Tate. That's why you've pulled out your camera. You're talking to camera. However, without that emotive speech, you're unable to really transmit what you feel. An actual version of this would be with emotive speech. So start talking to camera and say, hey, I'm here with Andrew Tate. Can you believe it? I'm so happy right now. I am literally standing next to Andrew Tate, the legend, the master and commander of the real world. So you can see straight away there's authenticity in both options, but applying that emotive speech allows you to convey the feelings that you feel to the audience. And genuinely, it's really just about transmitting how you feel to the audience. That's the key behind emotive speech. Now, for anybody who doesn't necessarily like the idea of emotions or finds the whole thing kind of strange, it's not about feeling your emotions the whole time. It's about controlled emotions. So being in control of your emotions and being able to kind of guide those emotions when talking to camera, rather than being at the whim of your emotions like a leaf in the wind, so to speak, and being on this kind of roller coaster of emotions. And 1 minute you're so happy, and 1 minute you're so sad, and you're just like this absolute mess on camera, right? It's about controlling your emotions and knowing when to use them when communicating speech. Now, it's still based on you, it's still authentic, it's not acting, but what it actually does is build on top of authenticity. You'll see this with the following exercise. So, with that said, let's get cracking straight to the practical exercises. All right, welcome to day 2. Okay, so the wheel of emotions. So there's a wheel of words I've put below this video, and the aim of the game is to name a feeling and enhance emotional literacy. So for example, we have the words optimistic and enthusiastic. I tend to get enthusiastic quite a lot. But in the area of this wheel, what other words can we identify that relate to enthusiastic? So we've got zealous, excited, hopeful, and eager. And it's really useful to start communicating not just vocabulary wise, but also being able to go into these emotions slightly more. So in this exercise, you're going to pick 3 words and attempt to feel the word. So kind of connecting with that emotion, how you'd imagine that would feel, and then start talking from that place. And what I want you to do is, prior to recording, is take a moment to start to feel each one of those emotions. So for example, let's take excited, right? Excited feels like I'm excited for the future, I'm excited for what's coming, and I might try to imagine how it feels to be excited. Okay, so I'm going to take a few minutes, I'm going to think about something and then talk to camera. So I might talk about Andrew Tate being released. I am so excited that Andrew Tate's been released. I can't believe it. You do not understand what this is going to do for the real world economy. I'm so excited, and you need to be part of it. So that's an example of applying the vocabulary into my speech, but then also bringing the emotion with it. And where this exercise becomes useful is that you can kind of go through the wheel of emotions and identify more of how different emotions change the same narrative. So let's take the word speechless, for example, using the same scenario, right? Andrew Tate's being released. I'm so speechless. I literally do not know what to say. You do not have a clue what this is going to do. So the same narrative using 2 different vocabularies and implementing 2 different styles of emotive speech. Excited was more kind of eager, and speechless was more kind of gaps and not being able to know what to actually say. And the great thing about this is there's so many different descriptions of emotions that you can kind of go through, and they're completely out of the box from what you'd usually think in terms of emotions. A lot of people only identify emotions as like being happy, sad, angry, surprised. So what you're going to do is talk to camera, pick 3 words, use 15 to 30 seconds if you're filming for short form content, and use a minute for each word if you're filming for long form content. And remember to connect with the emotion and then bring that into your speech. Okay, so the wheel of emotions. So there's a wheel of I feel X. This exercise is pretty simple, and it actually connects to previous exercise if you want to combine them together. So different people communicate speech in different places. For some of you, this might be the solar plex. For some of you, it might be the chest. It might be the throat, wherever it is, right? What I want you to do is place your hand wherever you feel speech tends to originate from. And then what I want you to do is check in on your state of mind and then start to record. And what I actually want you to do is start this recording by keeping your hand in this position, and begin the video by saying, I feel X. Obviously replacing X with an emotion you feel, perhaps an emotion you feel with being in the real world, and then just go from there. So for example, I tend to speak from my throat. So if I place my hand on my throat and I take a few moments to compose myself, check in with my mind, make sure I feel like I'm in the right state of mind to record. I feel invigorated. I feel invigorated that I'm part of the real world. It's something that's made me feel brand new, refreshed. It's taken me away from the 9 to 5 and has allowed me to become a better version of myself. So when you place your hand on the area where you believe speech originates from and you check in with your mind, you'll be able to understand what you're feeling. And then what you can do is use the wheel of emotion to kind of fine tune that feeling and then allow yourself to talk to camera. So this is quite difficult because what you're trying to do is understand and figure out where your speech originates from and then connect that to your bodily senses. So what I highly recommend is you do this exercise, but it's one of the few exercises I recommend you come back prior to taking the next exam. I feel X. Okay, in this exercise, I want you to imagine who you are talking to on the other side of the camera. It's a simple skill, but a lot of people tend to forget and overlook this. So, in the case of the real world, you can imagine a person being trapped in society who lives the same day, suffering, works a 9 to 5, barely has money, all that type of stuff, right? To really picture your avatar in your mind. And the reason this is because if you really want to come off authentically, you want to be able to imagine your audience, imagine who you're speaking to. So, for this example, all these people kind of browsing through endless YouTube videos and they are so frustrated with life and they just can't seem to find a way out of always being broke. Think about it. Your video, your authenticity, your ability to use emotive speech could free them from the struggles they are currently facing. So if you don't have the ability to imagine the viewers or the avatar that you're thinking about, a really great way to do this is to imagine your friends and family. So if I was to take this example, right, if I wanted to be truly authentic and I imagine my audience being a family member, right, I would say something like, are you not tired of just constantly doing the same thing day in, day out? I was literally like you, and look at me now, I've changed. And that's all thanks to the real world. So imagine your audience, whether it's a friend or family member, whether it's the actual avatar you're thinking about, and then I want you to talk to camera with that in mind. Genuinely, it can really change the way you communicate to the camera. Okay, in this Day 2 emotive speech exam. You already know what to do. I'd like you to submit a recording applying the principles of authenticity and emotive speech promoting the real world. Now, if I forgot to mention, I'm not looking for edited content. What I'm actually assessing is your ability to apply authenticity and emotive speech to your videos. Also, it's worth noting for this submission, try and use a different story. Nobody likes hearing the same narrative twice. Most likely, you've already used something along the lines of, I made 50K in the real world as your hook. Dig deep, find something new from an authentic experience you've had within the real world. Explore the emotions that experience evoked. And finally, while you wait for my assessment to pass through to day 3, go back and explore some of the student submissions and provide some helpful feedback in the creators workshop chat. Good luck. Day 2 emotive speech exam. You already know what to do. I'd like you to submit a recording applying the principles of authenticity and emotive. So, day 3 is all about humor. Really, humor is this kind of secret sauce. And if you manage to dial this attribute in right, it can make your videos feel very fresh when people watch them. So, look, you can have a video that's authentic, it can convey emotive speech, but at the end of the day, sometimes they're just very serious. It can be kind of intense, like really serious. And without this kind of gentle sense of humor, not necessarily all the time, but at least you don't take things too seriously, right? You don't take yourself too seriously. And by having this attribute in your arsenal, what you're able to do is create engaging and compelling videos to watch. So I'm not necessarily talking about, somebody who's kind of laugh out loud funny. It's kind of more somebody who is just chilled, lighthearted, and not taking anything too seriously. You see, the problem is, and what tends to happen, is a lot of people start to focus on the authenticity and talking from a place of emotion, or just talking about a specific subject and just being very logical in the idea or whatever they're doing. And sometimes they can just forget this very simple principle: life is not too serious. It's really not. Genuinely, it's really not. You can make fun of things, you can make fun of yourself, and have this understanding that nothing about talking to the camera is actually serious. Now, if you can ingrain that mindset within your videos, it can truly change the way your videos come across. So look, by now you should feel slightly more comfortable when talking to camera. And the great thing is that humor ultimately comes from being comfortable. So if we could just feel really comfortable in our environment and just feel nice and content, nice and relaxed when we are talking to the camera, then our natural sense of humor can actually come out. That is genuinely how it works. The more comfortable you are, the more free in the environment you feel, the more natural you feel, and the more your humor will come out. So making sure you grasp that concept is essential. So like the worst thing you can do is try and forcefully be funny. I don't want you to confuse humor with trying to tell some type of joke to the camera. That's not what we're trying to do here. And it's a common misconception people have when they start to think about this attribute. Remember, natural humor is derived from comfort. Okay, cool. So hopefully you've understood that concept. Now, here's another concept to try and understand, right? Usually, humor is associated to a social setting. Usually, you say something funny, someone laughs, or somebody else says something funny and you laugh, and it's kind of this reciprocated interaction between two people. However, when you're talking to camera, how do you go about conveying humor when it's just you and the camera? And that's the trick. So, how do we get around this? Again, literally, it's not about trying to be funny, but it's about getting into this certain state that you realize that what you're doing genuinely is not that serious. It's not that serious at all. So you've got to find this place of kind of lightheartedness and understanding that it really isn't that serious. So what that state of mind allows you to do is to not take yourself too seriously. And what actually starts to emerge is this very kind of cheeky and confident personality. So imagine you're in detention at school. What would you actually be doing there? Realistically, you'll just be trying to kill time. And then what does that essentially lead to? You basically start fucking around. You start making jokes, you start throwing shit at each other, and essentially you're just bored, right? You want to try and take that type of attitude and start bringing that natural humor and that almost relaxed and comfortable state where you're able to understand that talking to the camera is not that serious. So in this exercise, you're going to think back to a time when you were dying with laughter, literally when you were laughing until it hurt. So take a moment to kind of feel that again and then talk to camera, talking from that place of where you was completely laughing out loud. And it can be a great idea to even talk about that experience as well if it makes you laugh. If, however, you find it hard or you just find it difficult, then feel free to kind of use compilation, fail videos, meme videos, whatever it needs to be. Just don't end up in a bottomless pit of nothing, wasting hours watching meme videos. So the key concept here again is life is not too serious. It's kind of funny when you think about it, right? You're essentially talking to a camera. So that in itself could be funny. Just whatever humor works for you, and try and remember, if you find yourself going back to that serious place, always try to bring yourself back to the laugh out loud place, to that place where you was just absolutely hysterical. In this exercise, okay, so for this practical exercise, you're going to force yourself to laugh, and whilst you're laughing, talk to the camera. Perhaps not laughing all the way through because it probably make you really tiresome and take a lot of energy. But I really want you to utilize the power of laughter, especially before you make the video. Force yourself to laugh for like 30 seconds. It's most likely going to feel awkward and you won't feel like doing it, but you might do something like this. And I literally feel like a crazy person doing that, but it feels good. And now I'm genuinely in a better mood. Naturally, it's made me feel a bit more funny. So this is also called laughter therapy, right? So people actually do this, believe it or not. Every day they force themselves to laugh. And apparently it's very good for you. So you're going to do this laughing exercise. Maybe try and laugh throughout the video as well. Record the video. And as with everything, send your submission in for review. Just if you are feeling awkward, right? Remember, this is such a great exercise to do, especially if you feel like you're talking all a bit too serious. Just start laughing and it can really shine through your personality on camera. Okay, so take the 3 attributes you've learned so far: authenticity, emotive speech, and humor. And I want you to talk to camera using the real world as your advertisement. A little reminder, we always want to follow the 3-point technique: hook, 3 points, and CTA outro. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so take the 3. Okay, so welcome to day 4 of the Creator Workshop. This is by far one of the most exciting attributes in the workshop because we're going to go over energy. So energy is very important, but not for the reason you think. By now, you're grounded and authentic. You're able to communicate yourself. You're able to express your emotions through speech when required, and you're pretty good at humor. You're able to not take things too seriously. However, without the right energy, all of these things might not be as engaging as they actually can be. So energy is important because it's the passion in which you speak, it's the energy in which your video is delivered. Now, the reason why I said it's not quite what you think is because some people allude energy to being super loud and very energetic, or what you could call extroverted, right? So being extroverted can be a great component, but it's not necessarily required and not necessarily what energy is about. So let's take someone that's introverted and quiet as the first example. So I joined Andrew Tate's The Real World and I made 50,000 a month through e-commerce. I went into the e-commerce campus and I found all sorts of information that I was able to utilize, and from there I was able to capitalize on the stores that I currently have. So ignore the authenticity part completely, right? Because you can sense from there that I've not actually joined the ecom campus and made 50,000 a month through ecom, right? So I want you to focus on the fact that this person comes across very shy, introverted, and doesn't seem very engaging. So what I'm not telling you to do is to speak louder. The reason why is when you just raise your voice, what starts to happen is you lose all authenticity as a person. Whoever might be communicating to camera just might not be an extroverted person. So let me try and give you the same example with energy. So I joined Andrew Tate's The Real World and I made 50,000K, and I did this by joining the ecom campus. Once I was in the campus, I was able to learn the material, and by learning that material, I was able to scale my stores up to 50,000 a month. So this should prove my point that it's not just about being super extroverted. The key way to deliver energy from an authentic place is to be passionate and excited about what you are talking about. From my experiences, being passionate about what you're talking about ultimately gives you that on screen, on camera, on mic energy. You have to be able to connect with the meaning and why of the product. So if you take The Real World as an example, the meaning and why of the product is related to teaching people how to break away from the 9 to 5, and it can be a platform that is saving the young minds from degeneracy, right? And that's my take on the meaning and why of the product. Yours might be completely different, but it's all about finding what that actually is and then linking that to something you feel passionate about. So I want to find the why that makes me feel passionate about The Real World, and it makes me feel excited to be part of it. So just to clarify this, let's do an example, and I'm going to do this straight off the top of my head. And hopefully when I do this, you should be able to kind of get the gist of what I'm actually passionate about. Joining Andrew Tate's The Real World changed my life. If you join, then it can change your life too, not just from the way you think, but also the way that you view the world. Money isn't real. And I truly didn't understand this until I was guided by the professors inside to achieve financial freedom. So if you're somebody just like how I was, working a 9 to 5, having unlimited side hustles and still struggling to try and make ends meet, well, $50 could be the difference to changing your life. And that's not me saying to you $50 is going to make you a millionaire. It's me telling you that $50 can unlock information, materials, and a like-minded community to give you the road to El Dorado. And if you're watching this and you don't know what the road to El Dorado is, essentially it's the road to a golden Spanish city. Anyway, I wanted to pass this message on to as many people as possible. There is a way to break free right now. Click the link in the description. Now, sure, that can be improved in many ways, but it was authentic. I've always felt passionate about the fact that The Real World can free the worker slaves. So yeah, I felt some kind of energy and I was connecting to what I was saying. So another thing you might have noticed in this example is I'm not necessarily speaking louder, but because I felt passionate, you could feel the energy coming off what I was saying. So that's kind of the main mindset with energy, finding ways to make what you're talking about connect to your passion. And the last mindset based thing is about confidence. If you have unlimited energy about something and delivering it in an energetic way, you're actually putting yourself in a state of vulnerability. Let me explain. So imagine you're in a social setting, right? And you're talking about something and you're very flat, very dead. You don't have much energy with it. The reason why you do something like that is because you're actually afraid of the reaction you might get. Therefore, you tone everything down. So there's not necessarily any reaction that you'll receive. Whereas when you start to put energy in the mix of authenticity, emotive speech, and humor, what you're actually doing is taking a risk. Because if the social setting you're in doesn't reciprocate that story that you're telling, then, oh man, egg on your face, right? So if you're applying energy to your story, you need to have some level of confidence that the story is going to hit home with the audience you're speaking to. However, when talking to camera, the stakes aren't as high compared to a social setting. So that's awesome, right? And we should take this as a positive. and a way for us to practice and keep talking to camera in an energetic way without any so-called risk of social rejection. Okay, so now we have the mindset. I want to give you some ways of conveying energy on camera. However, before we get into these, it's important to note if you focus too much on these individually, then it can have an inverse effect and make you very stiff and robotic. So the first thing I want to talk about is vocal inflection and tone. So having control over this will allow you to dial up your energy and then dial it back down, allowing you to have this type of dynamic voice. So having a dynamic voice allows you to become more interesting and you can be way more expressive using just your voice. Okay, so you might not want to do anything else. You might not want to use hand gestures. You might not want to move your body. You might not even want to talk louder. But if you just start creating a dynamic voice, you might just find that it can be a great thing to practice, especially if you're monotone. The next thing is gestures and body language. So one of the ways to have more natural energy is gestures. We can literally talk through our hands. And what you'll tend to find is a lot of keynote speakers use a lot of hand gestures. Again, the key thing here is not to think what your hands are doing. So yeah, just be expressive. And body language, you can, for example, emphasize a point if you was to lean more into the camera and start to make a point. An example of this is, let's say you're creating an ad for a physical product, right? Actually putting the product right up to the lens is a great way to convey energy rather than just leaning back and coming across lazy as fuck. Next, facial expressions. If you are smiling and not smiling with your mouth all the time, but smiling with your eyes, you essentially create this welcoming, warm, resting facial expression versus kind of just having this blank stare on your face. And the final thing is intensity. And intensity is not being loud, it's more of an oomph in what you're saying. And it's kind of like the body parts tensing up, forcing the words out, and can definitely make you feel more energy. So going forward in today's practical exercises, we will be focusing on these. And just to reaffirm, the goal is not to focus on these individually, but just allow you to have awareness and let it happen naturally. Okay, so now we have the... Okay, for this exercise, I want you to force a smile. Some people naturally have a happy face and some people naturally have a stern face. On average, in your video, if you can convey some sort of smile, it'll help a lot. So what I want you to do for this exercise is hit me with a video where you're forcing a smile throughout the entire video. Obviously, this is going to change your delivery. It'll come across a bit strange, but don't worry. It's an exaggerated video and you're forcing yourself to come out of your comfort zone. So smile all the way through your video and make sure you drop your submissions in the chat. Okay. In this exercise, you're going to talk about something you're excited about, pick a topic and connect your passion to it by linking your own meaning to it. So number one, find the energy for the topic. Number two, focus on your dynamic voice so you're not speaking in monotone. And number three, focus on your gestures. And that doesn't mean you start flapping your hands all over the screen. Be natural and understand how your gestures are coming out. In this exercise, you're going to talk slightly louder than you used to. This can be really good for some people and it can be really bad for others. I myself am very extrovert when I'm talking, so I normally talk loud, fast, and have quite a high tempo when I'm talking. However, the individual that's quite introverted, this exercise can work absolute wonders. Nevertheless, regardless if you're introverted or extroverted, I want you to still do this exercise because what it'll actually do is help you identify your vocal range. And once you kind of know that vocal range, and what you're able to do is move up and down depending on what you're saying in your narrative. So for this exercise, increase the volume anywhere between 30 to 50%, talk a bit louder than you normally would, and just break out your comfort zone. Hopefully you're in a place where there's not too many people that can hear you, and just go for it. Okay, bump the intensity up by 30%. So having done all the previous exercises, you'll more or less know how you are on camera and the different ranges you can take in. I want you to just take you and increase you by 30%, your intensity, your energy. Think of this exercise as a combination where you can increase your dynamic voice, your gestures, your volume. Again, talk about something ideally that you're passionate about and just ramp yourself up. And like I always do, I always use the example of the real world. It's a digital product that I'm fully invested in and I'm actually passionate about it. So if you want to go down that route, be my guest. However, remember to keep this linked to your authenticity. Try not to fake it. Again, this may feel uncomfortable, but it's all about stretching you out of that comfort zone so we can bring it back when we need to. Okay, bump the intensity. Congratulations, you've made it to the final exam. Let's recap on the 4 attributes. Authenticity is all about being yourself, communicating from a place which makes you feel stronger and not weaker, and having this connection where what you think and what you feel is what you say. Emotive speech is the ability to bring controlled emotions to the vocabulary you use and ensuring you have the right audience in your mind. Humor, find a place where you feel comfortable and always keep in mind it's really not that serious. And lastly, energy, combine a dynamic voice, gestures, and bump that intensity to 30%. So for this exam, what I want you to do is apply everything you've learned over the past 4 days and talk to camera selling a digital product. So what I want you to do is submit your recordings in the final exam submission chat, tag me and review it, and hopefully I'll approve. And then that way you can proceed with the rest of the campus. If you want to, take 24 hours to go back and review some of the lessons, your previous examples, feedback I've given on previous exams, and then record. I highly recommend you recap on lesson 1 and 2. I will only accept 1 submission at a time, so give it your best shot. But always remember, it's not the end of the world. If you need to, you can go again. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Congratulations, you've made
I'm here to tell you guys the truth about getting better at stuff. The most important thing, and actually the reason that most people don't get very far in life, and you guys have probably noticed this because you guys are all successful in some sort of business. At one point, you guys said, fuck it. Like, let's say you're a copywriter, right? And you're in here. At one point, you said, fuck it, I'll write that email to that guy. At one point, I don't know, you're a crypto trader. You said, fuck it, I think this is a good trade, and you took the trade. At one point, you said, fuck it, I think this will be a good ad campaign, and you did that paid ad campaign for your e-commerce business. Everything always starts with action. Action is always how things get done. A lot of you guys might be sitting down saying, okay, well, I want to make sure this video is perfect. You know, it has my face on it. So you feel like there's more pressure and it's going to, naturally, you're going to want to go slower. I want to tell you that that is the wrong way to view it. You will always learn by doing. I've been doing lessons for I don't know how long now. I do believe I've gotten much better at lessons in general. I've gotten much better at speaking because I do this, 7 times a day, every single day, and I've done that for months and months and months. You get better, man. So all of you guys who are sitting down thinking, okay, well, I need to refilm that video. That wasn't perfect. I fucked up there. I want you to just do one take. Think about what you want to say. Just describe what the real world did for you, describe where you were, and describe kind of what you've learned and how beneficial it's been to you. Film that up, post it, and let's see how it is. You are never going to be able to give yourself the proper advice that you really need to improve than some stranger being able to do it. A stranger will always be able to critique you better than you'll be able to critique yourself. That is always, always, always the case. And reality is the best teacher. So all of you guys out there who are right now trying to make it perfect, you're trying to get that haircut before you do it, I want to tell you to fuck all that off. Tell yourself you're going to make the video today. You're going to post it today. Get to work. I'm here to tell you guys the truth about getting better. I want to talk about whether it's good to be relatable or not. So when you guys make visual is extremely, I want to talk about whether it's good to be relatable or not. So when you guys make these videos, what you guys want to make sure, and the superpower you have, is you get to kind of be the guy that your viewer is like, okay, that's who I want to be, and I can see myself becoming that if I work hard for 1 year. If they're looking at the end of the mountain, they might look way past you, right? You're not supposed to be the superhero yet. Hopefully you'll get there, and hopefully you'll be improving your own life as well, right? So you'll start to get higher up the mountain, and every single time you make a video, you're just a bit higher up the mountain to where maybe in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes, you do a video and you're at the very peak of the mountain. You're extremely strong, making loads of money, and you've got everything you want in life. And that would be great, but that's not where we're starting out, and that's not what the target that you're going for. You want to be relatable. You want to be quite close to the person that you're talking to. I've been 10 years in online business. That gives credibility, but it removes relatability. So in that case, what you want to do is you want to make sure you don't say that in the start. You want to make sure that you mention that you've been doing 10 years of online business. You want to mention that later down the line when they're already hooked, when they're already interested, when they already want to hear what you have to say. You want to be relatable first. You want them to look at you and be like, wow, okay. And then you want to maybe start saying some less relatable things. Because most people who watch, they're at the beginning of their journey. And I understand if you get them to watch and you just don't even mention how long you've been doing online business, and towards the middle or towards the end, or even just once they're hooked in and they like how you speak, they like how you look, then once you say, so guys, just so you know, I've wasted a lot of time because I've been in online business for 10 years and I have not found something this good. I've been around the block. I've checked this. I've checked that. There's a reason that I recommend this. This really is a different level, blah, 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 blah. And you're using your 10 years experience to say that I've been around the block for 10 years. I've been doing this for 10 years. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And the real world teaches you those things so much faster than if you try it on your own. It's what all mountain climbers do, right? Once you get up the top, there's sometimes if you're the first one going up the mountain and you don't have a Sherpa, if you don't have a guy guiding you, if you don't have someone who's saying, no, be careful because if you go 20 meters up, there's going to be a giant boulder there. And if you reach that boulder, you're going to have to go back 10 meters down and then go across 10 meters and go up. So it's best to just go from here and go this direction instead. Don't go straight up here. Like, it saves you time. It saves you all those times where you're like, ah, shit, I went the wrong way for a little bit. Let me go back down and find another way up the mountain, right? That's what the real world does. The real world is a guide. It's like a Sherpa. It's a Sherpa who will guide you up the mountain of success so you hopefully don't do pitfalls. That's what teachers and mentors are for. So oftentimes it's good to mention, like, especially if you've got 10 years of business experience, you can mention because you've probably learned a lot of the lessons we teach in the real world just on your own. You probably, in your 10 years experience, you're like, yep, I completely understand why this is a lesson because I spent, I don't know, like let's say the money in lesson, right? Money in is always a big lesson in Hustle University. Like, yep, I spent 6 months and I don't know, $7,000 establishing an LLC, getting an accountant ready for my accounting, getting a brand, getting the website built. And then I tried to launch and then no one bought anything. That's learning the money in lesson after you've already kind of started your business because you just realized, oh, wait, I just wasted 6 months and $7,000. And I didn't realize that I just need to convince someone to buy something first. I can figure out the rest later. Like, I don't need an accountant yet. I don't need all these structures yet. I literally can't even convince someone to give me money. What was the point of all this? So anyway, hopefully that makes sense, guys. And to summarize this up, I believe the lesson was that you want to be relatable enough. And if you have any experience or credentials, if you have anything that would kind of be not relatable, you want to unleash those and use those credibility points later in the video, right? Because the very first thing you want to do, if you start just saying, yeah, so, you know, I'm a PhD doctor, and then every single person who's not a PhD doctor is just going to like exit. Cool, I'm not a PhD doctor. He probably has cool things to say, looks like a good guy. I think he's got good things to say, but that's not applicable to me. So you want to make sure when you're hooking someone in, when you're convincing someone that they want to watch the video, you want to make sure you don't say any alienating statements to where the person's like, okay, we're in a completely different world. We live in a completely different life. I don't need to hear this. Be careful of that. You want to be relatable, especially in the start. Then you can start using certain life experiences or credentials to really relate to people not to relate to people, to establish credibility and why your opinion is. Like, if you've been in the game for 10 years, then you will, like, that's credible. Hi, just so you know, I've been working on online business for 10 years and this is the best thing I've ever found. That's much more credible than someone saying, yeah, so I've been working in the real world for 3 months. It's actually the first program I've ever done, right? They're completely different statements on like how good the real world is. Because if someone just starts off in the real world, they might not understand or appreciate how different it is from most courses in the world. I was going to say in the price range, but I'd just say in the world in general. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Again, final summary. You want to start off with relatability, and only later might you want to use some, like, let's say, alienating but credential building mentions and statements. Energy is actually super real. Anyone who thinks, he talks about positive energy and shit, and that's just hippie bullshit, they're wrong. That's garbage. Actually, energy is very real. When I do these lectures, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach you guys something, and I'm also trying to give you my energy. When I speak, I'm trying to use as much of my brain power as possible to give it to you. I could speak very softly. I could speak very quietly. I could speak very slowly, right? But that would be a low energy, low vibrations. And that's not what I want, because energy is, what's the word? Contagious. It's contagious like a virus. If you have very high energy and whoever listens to you, whoever watches your material, whoever goes through your stuff and is around you and you influence them in any way, they're going to be influenced to get high energy. They're going to feel better after watching your stuff. The reason people love Tate content is Tate always goes in with high energy. Tate always knows a decent idea about what he's going to talk about, and then he just plays it off by ear, right? But the main thing is to keep in mind that energy is super important. I don't know how else to say it other than you need to have high energy. This is another reason why I will always say it's very important to be very healthy. It's always very important to, let me tell you guys a trick Tate does. He always drinks coffee before he speaks. He almost always does. In fact, he might always do it. He always drinks coffee before he speaks. Why? Coffee gives energy. And if you have energy, then you can speak with energy. And if you speak with energy, your audience gets energy. And energy is addicting. There's a reason you want to be around positive people. There's a reason you want to be around energetic people. Is because most people run without energy. Most people are unhealthy. Most people don't get any sunlight. Most people aren't doing well. They don't have energy. If they had energy, they'd get up out of bed every single morning ready to conquer Earth. That's your target audience. You need to positively influence them. You need to give them energy with your videos and with your voice. So it's something that's extremely important. It's another reason that you'll notice that I try my best to get rid of pauses. I try my best. Right now, all of these lectures that I do, they're all, what's it called? One take. One take Tate is the name. It's one take. I try as my best of my ability to not need edits, and I recommend you guys always do the same. And what it takes is just loads of practice. It's loads of practice. I've been doing these voice lectures for a long time now. You get to the point to where you start to get quite good. I've noticed when I say I know when I pause too long. One, you need to practice. All of you guys who haven't even made one video yet, you're not going to succeed. You need to be smashing out videos because the only way you're ever going to learn how to speak is to speak and then review your speech right after. You need to be very cognizant when you make mistakes. Sometimes I start saying one word and I swap to another word. That's a mistake, and I make note of that, and I try and make sure I never do it again. I also try and always keep the pace high. It's just about understanding the fundamentals. Words, always be getting the idea out there as concisely as possible. Always be positive. Always give them energy. You should have energy when you do speaking. You need to learn how to turn that switch on. Some days, guys, it happens all the time. I've even done lectures on it. Some days, you do not want to work. Some days you don't have the energy. You need to find a way to force it out. And guess what? The only way you're going to get good at forcing out energy into the earth is by trying. Doing multiple videos a day. Multiple takes is fine, but you guys should always have a video that you can stand behind and say, this is my video for the day. And you guys do need to be doing one video a day. The practice and all the time and energy that you're putting into making those videos, even if they're not perfect, that practice is what will make you gold. You become a good speaker by speaking. Perfect is the enemy of good. It's something like that. Or perfect's the enemy of progress. And it's completely true. I don't want you guys sitting down thinking, okay, well, I don't have a haircut yet. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I need to clean my room first. I'll do it tomorrow. Those are all important. Lighting's important. Background's important. These are all important. But these can all be fixed. These can all be fixed, and they're not really a skill. Getting the right lighting, I wouldn't say it's not a complicated skill. But speaking well, in speaking your mind, in a concise, energetic way so that the audience wants to pay attention, that's hard. I can tell you loads of mistakes I've made during this lecture, right? Because this lecture already has multiple points. Because it has multiple points, many of you guys might be lost. So I'm going to summarize again what I was just speaking about. One, practice makes perfect. You need to be practicing your oration, and that's only going to happen by making videos. And it's only going to happen when you make videos that you submit to be reviewed. You don't need to put them on YouTube. You don't need to put them out for the world to see, but at least needs to be like an unlisted YouTube, and then we will go through it. So you need to be practicing. Second, you need energy. Energy needs to be in your voice. You need to have energy when you're speaking. If you don't have energy, you need to find a way to get it. Because you need to be an entertaining speaker. If you're not an entertaining speaker, they're not going to want to listen to you. Third thing, you have to get rid of all the gaps. You have to get rid of all the mistakes. You have to get rid of the ums. You have to get rid of the likes, and you will start to get good at this. You'll start to be able to think about what you're going to say next while you're speaking at the same time. It's an interesting skill. You'll start to get it. I'm doing it right now. And the last point is that you want to usually have your lectures, or let's say your videos, your storytelling, it should have points. This is how I personally do it. I never script anything. If I had to do a perfect pitch, like my life depended on it, I'd have the bullet points on a screen or something. I'd have a bullet points. So I've expanded on my fourth point, which is you want to use points. And let me now do the final summary. 1, practice makes perfect. You need to be practicing. 2, energy. You need to give energy. 3, no mistakes and be concise. You need to know what you're talking about, and you need to not have like, spaces. And don't worry, you can edit those out. You're a beginner. And 4th, I like to do points, and I like to have a full idea of what idea I'm trying to get about in this lecture. So this lecture ended up being 4 different ideas into one, which is usually not great, but it's the best I can do. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you guys understand how you will actually become an amazing speaker. And the main point of this whole lecture, if you take anything from it, it's practice. You need to practice. Visual is extremely important. And here's just the truth of the world. And this is going to be a harsh truth, but it's true. If you're a big, strong, good-looking dude, people want to listen to you more. It's just the way of the world. Just the way it is. Sorry, guys. Sorry. And the beautiful thing is, if you're a dude, it's very, very hard to be ugly. I think it's actually impossible. Like, if you're very strong, fit, and healthy, it's almost impossible to be ugly. So luckily, as a man, it's basically impossible to be ugly. Good for you. So that's why it's important all of you guys train every single day. That's why it's very important. Every single one of you listening to this. And also, look, if you're not the strongest guy out there right now and you're not the most confident in your looks, I don't want that to stop you from making videos. There's loads of people who are where you are. I just want to make sure that you understand it's important. I want you to hit the gym like it's your job. I want you to truly take it seriously. Like, this is my job. You need to become a superhero. It's just how it is. So sorry, if you're listening to this, you have to become a superhero. You need to hit the gym like it's your job. So that's the first thing. Visually, if you're good looking, people always listen to you more. It's a massive thing. It's a massive thing that I want you guys to really think about when you guys think about, okay, what influencers out there are like well known, right? Like let's say Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David, I don't know how old he is. He might be in his 40s. He might be in his 50s. He's a strong dude. You can tell he takes care of himself health-wise. That's important. Like, there's a reason for that. So you want to make sure that you are hitting the gym like it's your job. Visuals are extremely important. There's some people who will just open the video, look at you, and say, nah, don't care what he has to say. And now let me get into camera work. You need a high quality camera, and you don't even need a camera. When I say this, your iPhone, if you guys have an iPhone, a brand new iPhone or some newer iPhone from the past 2-3 years, your camera has a 4K mode so that you can record in 4K. That's all you need, bro. You don't need more than an iPhone, but you do need the video to be clear and in high quality. You need that. That's important. If people see a low quality video, they immediately click off. Next, lighting. The light should be in front of you. The light should be behind the camera, and the light should go onto your face and then reflect into the camera so people can see your face clearly. People can see your front clearly. You do not want light coming from behind you. Let's say there's a window behind you, right? You don't want that. That's bad. It's going to make you look dark. It's going to make it hard to see you. Why is it important that you're easy to see? There's a lot of messaging that is communicated purely via body language and purely via your face. So it's very important that you have good professional lighting. And when I say professional, guys, I don't want you guys to overcomplicate it. You guys don't even need to get some sort of lighting lamp. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to be very, very particular with, okay, am I following the fundamentals of lighting? Like, the fundamentals of lighting is very simple. The light should be in front of you. Can I see myself very clearly? Yes. You only need the top profile. Let's say your chest and higher. You only need that in the shot. I want you guys to really think about, okay, how do the YouTubers do it? How do the interviewers do it? I want you guys to use them as examples. Hopefully you guys understand how important visuals are, and we'll be going into maybe storytelling and audio later. Visual is extremely important. And here's just the truth of the world. And this is going to be a harsh truth, but it's true. If you're a big, strong, good-looking dude, people want to listen to you more. It's just the way of the world. Just the way it is. Sorry, guys. Sorry. And the beautiful thing is, if you're a dude, it's very, very hard to be ugly. I think it's actually impossible. Like, if you're very strong, fit, and healthy, it's almost impossible to be ugly. So luckily, as a man, it's basically impossible to be ugly. Good for you. So that's why this lesson is all you're going to need to listen to, and then you'll finally understand exactly how to begin all of your videos. You need to start your videos with 1, energy, 2, speed, but also you need to convince them that what they're about to listen to is going to change their life for the better, even if it's a review. A lot of you guys are probably making videos and thinking, okay, well, obviously this video is about reviewing the real world. So I'm going to explain to them, like, maybe give them a hook. I've made $10,000 in 2 months within the real world, and let me tell you about how the real world made that happen, right? That's something that a lot of you guys might go with, but I find that quite boring. The first lesson is, I don't really like to start with I. But one thing you could do is you could do it very quickly. I made $10,000 in the real world in my first month, and I'm going to explain to you exactly how it did it for me. Okay, so that hook for a first sentence might really hook someone in, right? Because they might be like, okay, so I've always been kind of interested in the real world, and this guy said he made $10,000 in 1 month inside of it, and he's going to tell me the magic secrets that they teach inside the real world so that I can know how to get there myself. That might hook people in. I really want you guys to listen to your videos, and I want you to look at the first 2 sentences that come out of your mouth. I want you to ask yourself, how clear was that? How clear was that to be understood? And does this convince me, as some random ass person, want to listen to the rest of the video? It's called a hook, and it is extremely important. And 99% of the time, some of you guys have a little bit low energy, but this one I just saw was very good energy. It was good. The problem was so much of it was about I. And nowhere in the first, let's say, I don't know, in the first 35 seconds, nowhere in that was I convinced that watching this video was going to either teach me something about the real world I never thought I knew, the truth of the real world. That's a good hook because I'm curious about what the real world will do for me, right? I'm some person on the internet. I see this, the truth of the real world. Cool. Watch it. The guy says the truth of the real world. I'm going to expose to you some things I've not seen on YouTube ever before about the real world, and I'm going to explain it to all you now. You need to hook them in. Too many of you guys are talking about yourself to try and hook them in. And hooking them in, it's like a first impression. First impressions are really important, right? With this exact lecture, I really tried to make the hook good. But hopefully you guys noticed I always kind of go in with energy. And a lot of my lectures, I think they start off quite good. And sometimes they get a little weaker towards the end, start to lose the whole point of exactly what I'm going to teach. But hopefully by then, you're incentivized. And now you're thinking, okay, well, maybe he's going to, this part's a bit weak, but you're probably going to watch till the end. You're already 3 minutes deep. I'm only going to go for 1 more minute. So you might as well hear what I'm going to say next. That's why it's so important to hook them in. You need to hook them in because you need to understand that most people, you're probably going to lose them in the beginning. You can make more mistakes towards the end. You can make more mistakes towards the middle. You can lose there. You can make it a little bit more boring, a little bit softer, a little bit slower, a little bit less to the point, a little bit less clear. Those mistakes will always happen, and they're okay towards the middle or towards the end. But the beginning, you need everything to really be rock solid. And you guys will get better and better and better as you guys go along. But for the start, I really want you guys to think about it like you need to get that hook in. It needs to be within the first 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, the person should be like, shit, I need to watch more. It's like a trailer. The beginning of your video should be like a trailer, just with the words you say. And right, you have to understand that every single person who watches your video, they're watching it for a specific reason. And that is usually to better their own life. That's what they want. They want you to tell them some sort of secret. They want you to tell them something they've never heard before and something that they want to know about. People are interested in hearing exactly how the real world made you $5,000 within, let's say, 2 months, starting from zero. People are interested in that, but they're not really interested in you as a person. You guys need to understand that that's kind of a thing. What you guys want is you guys want to be professionally trained, get a good hook in, have some good energy, have that charisma, and have that storytelling ability that really makes them be like, okay, this one's boring, this one's boring, this one's boring. Okay, this one, this guy's a good speaker. I'm curious to hear about what he has to say about the real world because I can tell that this is not going to be boring. This is not going to be study or a chore for me to watch this video. Instead, this video is going to be quite fun. And it's what I try and do with my lectures when I talk to you guys on these voice notes and voice lectures. And if you guys ever find it hard to listen to my voice lectures all the way through, that means I've failed as a professor and as a lecturer. That means I've failed. So that's one thing I really want you guys to keep in mind of when you guys are making your videos. And especially the hook. The first 30 seconds, you probably got a 30-second audition. That's probably what you got. So within those first 30 seconds, you need to show them that you're a good speaker. You're a clear speaker. You're able to speak very quickly and give information very clearly. And also the information that you're going to give them is going to change their life for the better, or it's going to teach them something that they want to learn, such as maybe the secrets of the real world. So that's the idea. Hopefully this lecture wasn't too long. I know I lied when I was 3 minutes in. I told you it was only going to be another minute. Did my lie work? I don't know. This lesson's all. So for this lesson, I'm going to tell you guys kind of a little bit more about exactly how to tell a story. The first most important thing, you need to go into details, right? So I was just watching one of your guys' reviews or stories about what happened when you joined the real world. You did good setting up the beginning. You said, hi, look, I'm going to tell you about what I did before I joined the real world, what happened inside the real world, and where I am today, all because of the real world. So then he goes into it. He says he's 17. He was making, I don't know, some amount of money using his own cleaning business. But that's where he should have started getting into it. Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, well, where is the cleaning business based, right? If I'm going to tell the story about a cleaning business, let me just try and make some up. But this person actually has a cleaning business, so he doesn't need to make these up. He can actually say what these are. So I'm 17 years old. I started a cleaning business. I was making around, I don't know, around $700 a month is what my cleaning business was making. One day, I'm scrolling through TikTok, or I've known this Andrew Tate guy for a while, or, you know, I was watching this, something kept showing up, and I decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to try it. It's $50. What's the worst that can happen? So I joined. What do I do when I first join? Well, first I go to this campus, right? And I see it's loads of chats, it's all this stuff. And I started going through the lessons. And Professor, what's his name? His lesson on whatever completely changed the game for me. And I remember sitting there and I remember trying it. I'm like, okay, so I should reach out like this. Or, okay, well, I should speak like this. First, I wasn't that good. But I kept trying it, and I kept remembering that lesson in my head. Whenever I went out to go try and get clients, I had this new mindset now of entrepreneur. You see how you need to start giving details. You need to start telling a story. A story will never be good if it's very generic. So the video that I was watching, what it was, so I'm going to tell you all this about the real world. I'm going to tell you about where I was when I started, and I'm going to tell you about how much money I've made since being inside the real world, and the real world changed my life. That was the intro, and then he immediately went into it, said, I used to have a cleaning business at 17. I followed the lessons. I applied the lessons. It started making me think more like an entrepreneur, and then I made this amount of money, right? Like, it was very generic. There were no details in it, and every single story will only be good if there's details, right? Like, I'm trying to think, like, I remember certain moments. You guys don't know what it's like when you're out there and you're like, okay, I have one trick to try and get some leads, right? I've got one trick. My one trick is to do a tweet, and I used to do that tweet with a nice link, and that used to get people to want to talk to me. And then I try and talk to them, right? But you don't know what it's like when you post the tweet out. You get some leads, so you start talking to people. None of them convert because, one, you're not the greatest salesman. Two, you just didn't do it right. It didn't get you as many leads as it normally does. And then, okay, boom. What do you do now? You can't use the same move twice. People just saw the first move, and they said, I don't want to talk to this dude. If you do it a second time, now you're going to look desperate, right? So what do you do? Well, you got to start fucking Aikidoing him. We used to call it street fighting. And I could tell loads of stories like this, right? But you see how I'm going into details? And when I'm telling those details, I'm vividly thinking about it. I'm vividly in my brain remembering that time. And that's what you're going to need. Whenever you're going to tell a very, very good story, you need to go into the details, and you need to start remembering those emotions that you had during those times. Like, I can distinctly remember during those times, like, let's say, okay, every day I only do daily targets, right? So today we're on $0, right? Let's say I'm trying to hit $500 a day. I'm doing my work, and I do a move, let's say twice a day or 3 times a day, because I can't use it more. If I could use it all the time and it worked and it didn't diminish it, it'd be great. But right, you can only say, hi, you can come speak to me now, and people be interested in speaking to you so many times. If they see that you can always be spoken to all the time, eventually they're not going to want to message you, right? But like, hopefully, so I'm getting on a tangent by telling this story about what I used to do, but hopefully you can see that that's how stories are done. Stories require details. They require vivid memories of you looking back. So if you guys ever want to become a very good storyteller, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get very good at remembering what happened and explaining how you felt during that time and explaining what happened, right? You need to get good at telling the story. So that video, it was a good premise, but you lost them because it was too generic. It was too much, I listened to this lesson. And it changed my mindset to become more of a mindset of an entrepreneur. right? It's too generic. What lesson? Who? When? Like, when did that lesson happen? When did you read that lesson? How long were you already inside the real world? Were you inside for 2 months, or were you inside for 1 year when you read that one lesson? Was that the only lesson that really helped? How'd you feel when you first joined, right? That's storytelling. So let's keep that in mind, get the details flowing, and hopefully this will help you guys be able to really craft a very good story, which is very powerful because it will make people want to listen to you, and it will make people listen to you, right? How many of you guys kind of interested in my story about the DMs and that stuff, right? You guys should be quite interested and want to hear more. So maybe I'll tell you guys that in the future. It's a little sales trick that I used to use, and maybe one day I'll tell you. A story needs color, right? When you start telling a story is so much about just making sure you don't miss anything. And you have to kind of say it with some energy, some pizzazz. Their mind should be able to paint the picture of exactly what it is. They see you as a person, but like, okay, you need to make sure that they understand what emotions you felt. They need to understand kind of, maybe even mention that, during that time it was summer, so my cleaning business, blah, blah, blah. Now they also know it's summer. You can probably give all that nuance in like 20 seconds, especially if you say it in an entertaining way, because, right, the person joined because they want to hear about your story or the truth about the real world, right? They want to hear some sort of review, kind of see what happens to people inside of it. That's why they're watching. So you can't just go all in on your cleaning business, start talking about your cleaning business for 5 minutes. But if you bring in your cleaning business, start mentioning it, then you mention within the next, let's say 10, 20 seconds about you. Then, I was on TikTok, or I was like you, I was watching YouTube, and I know exactly who you are listening to this, because you're me back then. And I was just you. I watched it and I said, you know what, fuck it. And then I joined. As long as you start bringing in the real world, they know that you're going on track, right? They know that this isn't going to be a story just about a cleaning business. They know that this is going to be the story about a guy who had a cleaning business from Texas in one summer, watched a YouTube video, joined the real world, and then they want to know what happens next, right? What happened after you joined the real world? What campus did you get into? Were you kind of nonchalant in it? Like, I took it seriously because I really believed the YouTube video said that it worked. So I tried my best. But when I first joined, bro, I was kind of lost. I'm not going to lie. I was lost. But mention the true story, guys. You guys don't need to make a story up. You guys just need to pop it off the top of your head and really just start mentioning to the world exactly what you felt, what happened, and what really was the benefit, right? Like, just mentioning all the truth. You just need to find a way. And what we're going to be teaching you guys inside this campus is how to tell it well. They need to be able to picture in their mind, kind of understand how you felt when you joined, what was the emotions, what was the time, what country are you in, how'd you feel when you joined, were you lost when you first joined, is what everyone say on YouTube bad? Like, just let them know the details, and then let them know your journey. Maybe it's this one specific lesson that really changed the game, or maybe it was you started off in the main campus, then you went to the freelancing campus, you didn't really like it there, so you went to the e-commerce campus, but something about the teaching style resonated with you, and it was that first lesson that you saw, you're like, cool, this is it, this is clean, this is what I want to do. So whatever it is, just remember, guys, detail is king. To paint the picture of the story in their mind, and only a clear picture will ever be entertaining. So in this campus, we are teaching you how to make it so that when you speak, people want to listen. Some of you guys are focusing a lot on your editing. You're editing your videos a lot, and you're making them good. Don't get me wrong. Editing is absolutely beneficial to your videos. Editing will always make a bad or worse or even good speaker into a better speaker. It's a cheat code. But I don't want you guys to focus too much on getting good at editing. Focus on trying to become the guy who can do it in one take, right? Because as you guys continue to get better and better, you guys will notice that there's so few good speakers out there. You guys will become the only person you know. People say all the time, hey, Luke, you're actually a really great speaker, good articulate speaker. I'm not. I'm okay. It's a rare, in-demand skill. And that's what we're trying to teach you guys. We're trying to teach you guys something that almost no one practices, no one gets good at, no one understands the fundamentals of it. I don't want you guys to try and use editing as a crutch. I almost want you guys to just try and do everything in one take. Maybe your skill set is you want to become the best video editor in the world. Basic video editing is good, but I don't want you guys to be using your editing skills to try and cope or be a handicap for your vocal skills, right? Okay, you have to make the best video of your life today. You have to do it today. It has to be done today, and you need to monetize it by tomorrow. Then yes, use editing. Yes, use every cheat code you have, because all that matters is the final product. But when it comes to learning, when it comes to getting better, I don't want you guys to become dependent on editing. You guys might be able to make a very good video editing. I saw one person make a video and it was so much editing. It was so much creativity. It was almost like an acting movie. It was more like a movie than a storytelling. Remember, and here we are trying to teach you guys how to capture audiences without needing editing, without needing all that pizzazz. Just you and a camera talking to it. Make sure that they pay attention, right? That's the skill that we're trying to get at. So I want you guys to focus on that skill. Tate was so good and he needed so little edits on his videos because he took them almost always all in one take. Like, if you guys do your job correctly, if you do have an editor, he should be like, man, that was fucking easy. I just did one little snip here, added some pictures here, and then boom, video's perfect. Nothing else I can do. That's what you want. So here in this campus, we're teaching you guys how to become influential, persuasive speakers. And this means you guys will be able to do it in one take. I don't want you guys taking this and ending up becoming like a guy who spends most of his time editing his videos of him speaking. That's not how it should be. I just want to make sure, again, don't use editing as a crutch. Use editing if you have to and it's important and you need to submit this, you need to monetize it, you need the content out perfectly today. Make the best content you can. But again, for the practice videos and all that stuff, I want you guys to try and almost do it in one take. One take or very simple editing. When I say very simple, I mean you've ranted on for, let's say, 3 minutes. You kind of lost the plot. So what you do is you turn the camera off. You think about what you want to talk about. Remember, do not depend too much on editing. This is about learning how to speak, learning how to storytell. This is not about making movies. This is about getting that pizzazz because that's what most people don't have. So in this campus, we are teaching you how to make it so that when you speak, this campus is to prepare you to win your fight. What does winning your fight mean? Winning your fight means that you get in sales regularly. That's when you know that you've won. You've won once you're on the leaderboard normally. And only once you've won that fight do I recommend you start to look for a different fight. So everything we teach in here is designed to make sure that you guys win your current fight. Everything you learn to win this fight applies to any future fights you ever have. But I want you to keep in mind that everything we teach in here is we are trying to get all of you guys to win your first fight. That is what we're here to teach you to do. That is what we are very, very good at. There's so many people out there who are going to DM you guys once you guys get successful saying, hi, will you do marketing for me? Hi, will you make videos for me? Hi, will you do this? I'll pay you this. I'll pay you that. Because you guys are the best in the world. You guys are the best in the world because of our realistic, practical approach to teaching you guys the game. We don't just teach you guys philosophy. We don't just teach you guys fundamentals. We actually put you out in the ring so that you're sparring every single day. And that requires you to understand and to focus fully on this one fight. You have not won this fight until you get sales in regularly, until you know the game. And again, this campus is entirely based on teaching you to win that fight. And the skills you learn upon your journey, once you've won this fight, you will know so much that it will apply to any future fight you ever should decide to go for. I just want you guys to completely understand what we teach here, why we teach it like this. It's gone extremely well. I'm extremely happy for all the current students. I've been extremely normal thing that I know how to do. Don't start training for this fight if you're not sales in regularly until you know the game. And again, this campus is entirely based on teaching you to win that fight. And the skills you learn upon your journey, once you've won this fight, you will know so much that it will apply to any future fight you ever should decide to go for. I just want you guys to completely understand what we teach here, why we teach it like this. It's gone extremely well. I'm extremely happy for all the current students. I've been extremely, extremely pleased with the results. And it's because we have this nice practical approach. No bullshit of just listening to lectures. No, it's actually, you'll learn how to wake up every day frustrated, trying to get a sale in, trying this new thing. This light bulb clicks in your brain. You figure this out and then okay, boom, now you're on one sale a week. You've been working out every single day. You've been trying your best. And then boom, a light bulb clicks. That's what success looks like. It's lots of struggle. It's lots of your brain trying to solve this one singular problem. It's your brain trying to win this fight. And it's only that singular focus of trying to win this fight that will make you very, very good. It's that obsession, that singular focus towards winning this. That is the absolute key. That's what we teach here. And those skills will help you for all the fights you ever should have in the future. But I have to stress it because so many people join and they say, oh, well, I'm not learning anything. I'm just learning how to sell the real world. Or, oh, they just want, like, it's garbage. You guys are learning marketing and sales, and the only way you'll learn that is by actually marketing and sales. We start you guys off with the real world because it's the easiest brand, it's the easiest product to sell for. And the reason it's the easiest is because of all the support we give you guys. This is the one singular fight, and I promise you, once you win this fight, you'll be happy that you focused only on this one fight. If you start trying to focus on 3 different fights at once, it's simply not going to work. If you give up on this fight and you try and do another fight, I promise you, you're just going to give up on that next fight just the same. You need to be in here. You need to say, okay, I am not going to quit until I win this fight. I'm not going to quit until I make regular sales and I can just make money from the sky. And it's just a normal thing that I know how to do. Don't start training for this fight if you're not going to complete this fight. Good luck, guys, and you guys absolutely will kill it. This campus is to prepare you to win your fight. What does winning your fight mean? So I think this is quite an important lecture, and this is just about life in general. And this is about becoming good at something. I want you guys to understand that becoming good at something is always going to be directly correlated with the amount of time you put into doing something. This came up because I had one student, one of you guys, is only doing around 1 video a day, and he says he has a hard time pushing himself to do 2 videos a day, even though some days he would be able to, but he just does 1 video a day, and he's wondering if it's hopeless and if he can never graduate or never continue. My advice to him is very, very simple. If you can only do 1 video a day, and you're comparing or competing against someone who does 3 videos a day, or maybe 6 videos a day, or maybe 9 videos a day. I don't know who you're competing against, but you're going to become 3, 6, or 9 times as slow, right? And that makes sense. Let's say that you guys are the same amount of intelligence or whatever you want to say. If he does 1 video, he learns something. If you do 1 video, you learn something. If he does 3 videos and he did it to the same quality as you did your 1 video, he's probably going to learn 3 times as much. He's also going to get 3 times more feedback from reality, right? He's trying 3 times. He's flipping the coin 3 times. And he will notice before you do that, it turns out that this coin is rigged and actually it lands on tails most of the time, right? He's going to make those notices more just because he's flipped the coin more times. You flip it once a day and he's flipping it 3 times a day. He's noticing that, you know what, 2 out of 3 times every single day, it's always tails. And guess what? If every single day it's 2 or 3 times tails, he's going to notice it. You doing it 1 time a day, you'll be like, okay, tails, flip, heads, flip, tails. Even though the coin is just as crooked, it's going to mainly hit tails. You're not going to notice it as fast. You're not going to discover reality as fast because you're not trying as often. You're not flipping the coin as often. You're not experimenting with the world as often. So it's something that I want you guys to always keep in mind. There's a reason we started you guys off with just doing a bunch of videos. It's because pattern recognition is going to naturally happen as you continue to go. You're eventually going to be like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, let me try and think about it. That's why. Okay. All skill is gained by volume. You're only going to be as good as the amount of time you put into something. You're only going to be as good as the amount of time you're thinking about something. There's a reason I tell you guys that you guys should dream about your work. And those of you, some of you guys have been taking that seriously. And you guys literally every single day before you go to bed, you're thinking, okay, how can I get more sales? How does this work, right? You're thinking about it when you're eating your meals. Okay, how can I get this to work? How can I? And that genuine obsessiveness over trying to make it work is why they're going to make it work. Some of you guys, I'm sure you guys listen to the lessons, you say, yeah, that sounds good. But at the end of the day, when you're eating your lunch, you're thinking about something else. I don't know what it might be. I don't know. Maybe it's some video game that you play in your spare time. Maybe it's some TV program. Maybe it's something your girlfriend said. Maybe it's something you learned in school. I don't know what you're doing with your thinking time. The guy who flips the coin 10 times a day is going to figure out that the coin lands on tails most of the time. 10 times faster, and probably even more. I might even say 20 times faster. Because the guy who flips it once a day, maybe he doesn't write it down. Maybe he forgets that it's been 5 times tails and only 3 times heads. Maybe he forgets that. It's been 8 days. That guy who flips the coin once a day, He needs to write it all down. He needs to remember his past results. The guy who flips it 10 times a day, he's going to be like, okay, well, that's weird. That was 7 times tails. Weird day. Next day, weird. 6 times tails. Okay? 8 times tails. This is weird. This coin seems to always... That took 3 days for him to figure that out. So it's something I want you guys to keep in mind. The act of doing things, So I wanted to give you guys kind of the game plan, at least in my point of view. So I'm Luke, your professor. I'm like your side professor who just comes up with kind of what I consider the vision that I believe, I'm 100% sure actually, that you guys can hit if you guys take this very seriously. I know exactly how fast and how hard it can go, and it's about taking it as a full-time job. One thing I want you guys to understand is that your competition are lazy. Some of them don't have a schedule. Like, you guys might notice, like, some guys, they're just like, I kind of just fuck around, but like, it's a guy who works out every day, and then people wonder, okay, well, how'd that guy get so big? It's the exact same shit. If a guy went to the boxing gym every single day, sparred every single day, if you could spar every single day without any injury, you're going to start getting fucking good, because you just go every single day learning from your past mistake, seeing where you messed up on speech. So for those of you guys who are going to take this super seriously, I want you guys to understand you guys have our full support. I've got loads of interview opportunities for any of you guys who become good speakers. I hope you understand the whole internet is at your fingertips. I can get you guys an interview with basically anyone, but it's about me finding the right one of you guys, the guys of you who are taking this seriously. I want all of you guys to fully understand the opportunity you guys have. I want you guys to understand how much support you guys have and how many people you have behind you. Yeah, you guys literally have an army. You guys have air support. You guys have the cheat code. If you're in here, I want you to understand, I promise you that you have the biggest cheat codes on the world. If you fail in here with all the support we give you, you were never going to succeed. Like, you're just way too lazy. You just don't have it in you. And I believe every single one of you guys do have it in you. Truly rewatch your video. Like, a lot of people don't know this. Tate rewatches every single video he's ever made like 3 times after he's made it. He goes through it. He says, okay, well, probably shouldn't have said that. Okay, I stuttered there. Okay, I did this. I did that. People don't realize that. Like, if for those of you guys who take it absolutely seriously, you do not realize how big you can get and how fast you can get big. You're going to find out, because you have so much air support. You have so much support, so much massive forces behind you, that I want you guys to understand that you guys can conquer the world within less than 1 year. So something very important that I want to make sure that you guys understand when you guys are recording your videos. You need to ask yourself, why does anyone care? So talking about your childhood or talking about your past, no one gives a fuck. A small little thing, no one likes when you talk about yourself. It's actually a very, very bad way to convince people to want to watch your videos. Talking about yourself usually is never the move. You need to talk about something. So let's say if I want to do the real world video, right? That's what I want to do. You have to talk about the real world. That's why they're watching. They're watching because they want to hear about the real world. They don't want to hear about you. You want to talk about the real world. Like, if you're clicking on this video, you're probably wondering whether the real world is good or shit. I'm here to tell you it's good, and here's why. This is how much it made me. This is my experience. This is my experience. This is my experience. I'm curious. I'm very curious. Maybe he'll tell me so much that I don't need to spend my money, because maybe he'll tell me something that I won't like, so I won't buy it. That's what I want. If I spend these, let's say, I don't know, maybe it will save me $50, right? My brain likes that. Cool. Might save me money. Watching this video might save me money. You want to hook them in with that. When I say hook, I mean you convince them within the first, let's say, the first 30 seconds that, cool, this is the video for me. I like how he speaks. I like the topic that's going to be discussed, and I want to hear more. Instead of just doing a giant pitch and keep going with these examples, I'm going to break it down to try and summarize what I've just said. You need to start off talking about something that the audience cares about. The audience doesn't care about you. That's the most important thing to understand. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, and no one likes to hear about someone talking about themselves unless they've been convinced that there's a reason. I is a word you want to use as little as possible. It is very unattractive. Most people don't want to hear about your background. Not unless there's a reason. You need to give them a reason. You need to talk about something that they want to hear. And I promise you, every single person is curious about what is actually inside of the real world. Or maybe you want to do Hustlers University. You can say Andrew Tate's Hustlers University. That's a good hook, right? let me tell you the truth about Andrew Tate's Hustlers University. Okay, cool. I've heard about it. Yeah, let me hear about the truth. You need to find little hooks. You need to find little things to get in there, to get their mind, to get their attention. And after that, obviously, then you can start putting a personal spin on it. Like, just so you guys know, I've worked my whole life. So I'm not just some dude. I'm not some 15-year-old who doesn't understand what actually is valuable. Like, I've been around the block. And I'm telling you that this is what really changed it for me, and this is what really changed it for me. These are the things that really, really are what got me to where I am now. And I'm telling you, if you're like me, it's not too late for you. You can make money this way. Boom, 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 boom. You see how I kind of used that fake person example as a way to kind of better explain Hustlers University or the real world to the audience, and a lot of people want to know about and especially in an entertaining way. If you can say it in a way to where people want to listen, if you can say it in a way that you're going to divulge some sort of super secret, it's not about whether you mention something that's really revolutionary. The reason most people don't get listened to is because the first words that come out of their mouth are not interesting. You should start off your video. Do you want to learn about the secrets of Hustlers University? You need to make it sound like there's fucking aliens inside. Like, once you join Hustlers University or once you join the real world, aliens come down and abduct you and then, like, program your brain so that you immediately start, like, getting ninja moves and you can just make money using Aikido fists. Like, you need to really make them think, what secrets? Aliens? What's he talking? Like, you need to hook them in. You need to make it so within the first 10 to 30 seconds, they're like, cool, I need to hear more about this. You are not the topic, but you're the medium through which the topic will be best experienced. So when you guys are telling a story, right, you guys always need to understand that there needs to be a reason someone's looking through that story. There needs to be a reason there. And the reason that you guys are all practicing on is people are watching your video because they're very, very interested in what the real world is and whether the real world will help change their life for the better or not. Is the real world all the hype? Is it as good as they say it is? What is it like? They're curious. They have $50 in their pocket, and they're curious about whether they should spend it or not on the real world or not. So they decide they're going to look through some YouTube videos. They're going to read some stories, watch some reviews, and try and figure it out to best answer that question. So you guys, when you guys are speaking, you need to understand that you yourself are not necessarily the topic. You're not the topic. You're not what the information they're looking for, but you're the medium. Your story and you talking about yourself and your own personal experience inside of the real world, that is the best way that they'll get the answer about the real world. So it's kind of this balancing act about you want to make sure that you constantly are making sure that you are talking about yourself and your story in a way that is applicable to the person who wants to learn more about whether the real world is worth it or not, right? The real world is the reason they're watching your video. Your story is how you can best explain the real world to them, right? You can say, I was here, I started here, and then one day, just like you, was watching YouTube videos, doing it in an entertaining way, talking about your story, your path, right? But at the end of the day, the topic and like the lesson is about the real world. The takeaway from the story is the real world. And this is how you'll always become a very good storyteller. Your stories should, in general, have some sort of lesson or it's trying to answer something that people are curious in, right? And you're doing it in a very entertaining way, and you're showing them, not telling them about the real world, right? I think they talk about that all the time in English class, for those of you guys who pay attention much in it. And I distinctly remember now, it's show, do not tell. And that's exactly what you do when you talk about a story, right? When you talk about your emotions, when you talk about like, when I first joined, I was actually like, what the fuck? I got lost. Like, I was actually almost frustrated, right? You put emotions into them. You are showing them what the real world is like by describing it and how you experienced it. You're showing them. Instead of telling them, yes, the real world is amazing. The real world changed my life. The real world will change your life. Instead of telling them those things, you are showing them. So, I was a 17-year-old kid. I had this cleaning store. And I just saw it, one day, everyone heard about Andrew Tate. I heard about him, and I had $50 in my pocket. It came up on YouTube as an advertisement. And I just, at that moment, I've heard about it before. I thought, fuck it. So I bought it. And now you're probably watching this wondering what happened to me right after that day. Well, this is what happened. And then you go through your story, right? And you see how it's showing you instead of telling you. Instead of telling you the real world is very good for you, instead of telling someone the real world's very good, instead of telling them these things, you are showing them, and you are showing them with the details at which you're describing your own experience inside of it. So that's what, like, hopefully this makes sense. It's the topic is the real world, but your story is the medium at which they could best experience the topic. And this is all about showing, not telling. They talk about this all the time in how you write and how you do an argument. Showing is almost always better than telling. You want to get it inside their mind so that they experience it themselves through the words and through your own story. So hopefully that makes sense. I did this lecture because there's a fine line between talking all about yourself, like talking about, so then, my mom was sick, and then boom, 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 and then this, to where you're off topic now. The topic's about the real world. So you should only talk about yourself and your story in things that are very, very applicable and very much on subject to, is the real world good or not, right? Did the real world change? Like when you talk about, so I was 17, my age, that's important to know whether the real world's good or not. That means maybe it's only good for 17-year-olds. Maybe it's not good for 60-year-olds. I was running a cleaning business. Okay, well, that's good to know because you have prior experience in some sort of business. Maybe the real world's only good for people with prior experience. I don't know. We'll find out. Or what is it like for people? Like these details matter to the topic. If you start talking about a long story that's 3 minutes long about how you were in school and that, like, you've lost the topic and you're going to lose them because they're not interested in you. They're interested in the real world. But the best way that you can describe and the best way you can explain about what the real world is about, the best way you can answer their question is through your personal experience inside of it. So that includes a small little bit about what happened before you joined, a big bit about what happened when you were inside, and then where you are now, right? You can imagine it just like a storybook. Small intro, giant amount of action and struggle in fights, the last big climax, and then where are you now? So hopefully that makes sense. You are not the topic, but you're the medium. What people are very curious about, the reason they're interested in your story is because you went through the real world and they're very interested about what the real world does to people's lives. So obviously to tell that story, you'll be coming from a place of, this is where I was, but it's very quick. It has to be quick and entertaining. The intro, the hook, needs to be about the real world, right? Because that's what they're interested in. You need to hook them in with the real world. That hook buys you some time to be able to give a little bit of background about yourself, to quickly go through it and then go into the real world, which is the real story that they want, right? A story has the beginning journey of a hero, and the hero starts and they give a little bit of background. But imagine if that background, right, when before any action happened, imagine if that background was, let's say, half the movie. Half the movie, nothing bad's ever happened, and it's only halfway through does, like, the enemy come in, something bad happens, and the conflict begins, right? That's not what you want. So use this as the overall exactly what to do. I'm gonna start putting in some good examples of what I consider of good people who told their stories and their experience inside the real world. And that's what you want. You want to talk about the real world, but you want to talk about it as in it's your experience and what you experience and how your life changed because of those experiences, right? That's what people are very, very interested in. For example, one of you guys said, hey, I thought we wouldn't want to leak about what happens inside the real world. And that's not entirely true. I have no problem if you say that. Then we had this one professor, and this one professor seriously changed my life with this one particular lesson that they went through. The reason we don't mind that is because there is so much inside the real world. The real world's such a big place. It has so many lessons, so many different things that telling them one lesson, telling them two lessons, even telling them about 5 lessons that you learned, the 5 biggest lessons inside the real world that changed your life maybe, like even telling them those things that really transform things for you, those aren't like, that's not everything. So it's almost impossible to leak the real world because the real world, it's about the community, it's about the mentorship, it's about the lessons, it's all this stuff all bottled in. Like it's impossible to leak. It's not something that you can pirate. You can't pirate the real world for a reason. So talking about it and mentioning details about the real world inside of your stories, those will be very helpful. They're not saying you don't need to be vague on that. Don't worry about saying that, oh, well, I'm going to mention that there's captains in here who help us out for, like, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. This one lesson where I was told how to tell a story, right? I don't consider that a downside for the real world. So we have no problems with you guys doing that. But I want to make this very, very clear. The person is not interested necessarily in you. They are very, very interested in the real world. And they're interested in you because the real world has affected you in a way. So you'll be able to describe the experience, right? And that will require using yourself as an example, right? You'll have to say about started here, boom, boom, boom. Then, one day, like probably all of you guys, I was like you watching a YouTube. Like it's a little bit of but it has to go in quite quickly and make sure that it stays on topic. I was just like you guys looking for the real world. And that's why I decided to make this video. They are watching the video for the real world, and the best way that they can most accurately know about what the real world is like is by someone explaining very entertainingly in a very good way with details about their own experience with the real world. That's how they think that they can be like, they're trying to live through you in a way. And for that, you need a lot of details. They want to be imagining themselves in your shoes. And through those shoes, because you've had the experience, through you explaining that experience, by the end of the video, they'll have a very good idea of what the real world is. And it's answered a lot of their questions. It'll answer whether it's for them or not. And I can almost guarantee you that for 90% of people who watch it, it will be for them. Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the UGC formats workshop. Now, when I say formats, I'm not talking about aspect ratios. This is something that I will touch on in the next module, UGC upsell. What I am actually referring to is the different types of UGCs. So essentially, there are 6 types of UGC. Now, different people call these formats by different names, but what I'm going to do is break it down very simply for you. So the first type of format is video ad, which can be applied on physical and digital products. The next is testimonial, which also can be applied on physical and digital. Then the how-to, which is also kind of known as the educational or explainer, also applicable to physical and digital products. Then you have the honest review, which again also apply to physical and digital products. Then you'll have the unboxing format, which is usually only for physical products. And lastly, you'll have promos, which is usually applicable to digital products. Now, again, don't get caught up too much on the names. What I'll do is just quickly skim over each of these, right? So video ad is the main type of UGC, and realistically, the rest of the UGC formats derived from this. And what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, the rest of the formats are a video ad tweaked in certain ways to satisfy the different style of formats. But we'll go more into that in the next few lessons. Then from there, you have testimonials, which is essentially highlighting the benefits of the product. The how-to, educational, or explainer, whatever you want to call it, is literally an explainer for the product. Then the honest review is, as the title suggests, an honest review, a genuine opinion about the product, and it can be suited towards a particular target audience. Then there's the unboxing format, which is essentially displaying the unboxing experience of a product. And then finally, you have the promo, which reveals benefits of the app or the digital product that you're trying to advertise. So as I suggested earlier, many of these names can be replaced for different formats. So an example of this is some people would call what I call a video ad a promo. Now, we shouldn't get caught up on the name, but what we should actually get caught up on is the execution of the UGC format. Okay, so going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to dissect each of these formats and ensure that you have the versatility to execute using your newfound skill of talking to camera attributes. Hop on into the next lesson and let's get started. So what we're going to do for this lesson is we're going to dissect a video advertisement, and we're going to start off with a digital product. Now, at this point, every single one of you should technically have a video advertisement for the real world. So that is a digital product that you've gone away, followed the creative workshop, and created a video ad. So intro, student A. Now, some of you might be familiar with student A. You might have seen him in the promo box as part of the marketing bootcamp. You might have seen him on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, whatever. So what I'll be doing going forward is dissecting his content, allowing you to better understand the UGC formats. And it's worth noting, student A is already out in the field. He's making money as a UGC creator. He's also really good at e-com if you're trying to find him. Okay, so let's watch the video.
Anyone can make money online inside of the real world. So back when I joined 3 months ago, there was this guy that also joined the e-commerce campus. We were both beginners. We didn't know much. We were just chatting with each other, talking back and forth. And then stuff got a little more serious after that. So we decided to work more. We were busy, so we couldn't chat with each other anymore. So the chatting completely stopped. Now, fast forward 3 months, I already made upwards of 50K inside of those 3 months. And I saw this guy inside of the chats again, inside of the real world. I decided to hit him up. Yo, bro, it's been a long time no see. How are you doing? How's the business going? And he told me that inside of those 3 months, he has made upwards of 10K. It's not as much as high as my 50K, but it's still 10K in 3 months, working on his laptop anywhere in the world he wants. He's making money online since joining 3 months ago, and I'm doing the same exact thing. So if you would like to do the same thing as him and I, then click the button below.
Personally, I think that's a great video ad, and I actually forwarded that to the TRW promo box to be used by the marketing bootcamp. And what I want to do is go over a couple of points, allowing us to really dissect what is going on here. And I think you guys watching this video would be really great for you to see this process of how I would judge a video ad and what constitutes as a good video ad. So straight off the bat, I want to talk about spatial awareness. So there's minimal gap above him. You can see his torso. You can clearly see his hands and the gestures he's going to make. He's got even distribution on either side of his body, and relatively, it looks like he's in a really good position, right? He looks comfortable. I think he's sitting at his desk, and maybe that's his work desk, so he probably spends quite a lot of time there, and he feels comfortable there. He's not hunched over. He's got this nice posture, and general spatial awareness is very good. So delivery, his eye contact is great. Believe it or not, I think throughout this video, he maintains at least 90% eye contact. I usually say 80% if you remember from the creator workshop. But what he's able to do, his eye contact is resting on the lens rather than it's staring down the lens. You don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable watching the video, right? And looking at the lens or staring at the lens genuinely makes somebody uncomfortable. And then overall, the video back to front, his body language is great. He's using his hands. He's got great gestures. And then what he does great is he implements all 4 attributes. Let's just break that down, right? Authenticity. Where is he talking from a place of authenticity in this video? I'll show you.
There was this guy that also joined the e-commerce campus. We were both beginners. We didn't know much. We were just chatting with each other, talking back and forth. And then stuff got a little more serious after that.
He's actually describing a story, a genuine story. And you can tell it's genuine because the way that he's delivering it, right? It seems like a place that he feels stronger talking about that, because it's something that's actually happened to him within the real world, which is really important, right? Because the video advertisement for those watching are people who may be interested in the real world and don't know what it's like to be in there. So it comes across really authentic. It's a great narrative for him to use. Genuinely, he's hit the authenticity attribute on the head. And then emotive speech, right? I'm not going to pull everything out, but let me try and find a quick example.
I already made upwards of 50K 50K inside of those 3 months.
So this part where he talks about making 50K in 3 months, he does this great. He genuinely uses emotive speech combined with energy. You can tell this by the expression on his face currently. So that's like, again, leads into that authenticity feeling. He's applying that emotive speech and there's also an element of energy within it, right? And then humor. Humor is one of the ones that I've noticed a lot of people tend to find difficult to grasp because they always forget that humor is not making a joke. Humor is just being free and also lighthearted, and that allows you to kind of feel comfortable, okay? And I think there's actually a point here where he does convey humor.
We were both beginners, we didn't know much, we were just chatting with each other, talking back and forth, and then stuff got a little more serious after that.
So there you can see when he says we were both beginners, we didn't know much, and you know, he's got almost like this cheeky smile on his face, right? Like I said in the creative workshop, when you are able to convey all 4 attributes, you will emit this kind of radiance of cheekiness or confidence, and that's clear in this video, in this ad. He knows at the start of his journey, he didn't know fuck all compared to what he knows now. Now he's out here making 50K a week on e-com and also making money as a UGC creator. So yeah, genuinely a great use of all 4 attributes. And what he's also done is ensure that he's got a hook, give or take 3 points or some type of authentic storytelling, and then he finishes off with a strong CTA, call to action. He makes sure that he brings it all back to a final point for the audience to take action. Now, if I was to give any shade on this actual video, it'd be that he could probably go with a better hook. Let's just watch the hook again.
Anyone can make money online inside of the real world.
The emphasis on anyone probably didn't need to be there. He could have started off a lot more subtly, right? Because the story that he actually goes into seems more of a humorous one or more of a community one. Realistically, you should start off, any of you watching right now can make money online with the real world. I understand that he's used that hook to bounce his emotions off throughout the rest of the video. So I would have advised him in this scenario to say, hey, remember your training, go through the breathing exercises prior to recording, do an activity or one of the practical exercises prior to recording, have some idea of what your hook is going to be, right? And then have some idea of what your general authentic story is going to be and embrace your hook according to that. But overall, great video. And I hope watching this lesson has allowed you to understand how the creative workshop builds into a great video ad. So what we'll be doing in the next lesson is I asked student A to take all of these principles and apply it to a video advertisement, but for a physical product. We're going to dissect that video. You'll understand that all the skills that you've learned in the creative workshop can then be carried over to a physical product. So in the previous lesson, we went over dissecting a digital video advertisement. Let's go ahead now and look at the same fundamentals being applied to a video ad for a physical product.
There are 3 reasons why you need this moisturizer. Now, before I started using this moisturizer, my knuckles felt dry, my palm felt dry, my fingertips felt dry, everything felt horrible. Sometimes I was even scared to touch people as to how dry my hands were. Now, since using this moisturizer, my hands feel as soft as butter, it cleans my hands, and I'm not scared to touch anyone anymore. This moisturizer made me comfortable with my hands, and it makes my hands look good, smell good, and feel good. So if you want to have nice and soft hands as well, then click the button to buy now.
Okay, so before we get into dissecting the video ad, obviously you can see that there's been some basic editing applied. The breasts have been removed, and there's a clip of the actual hand cream being overlaid on the video, which is fine, right? At this point, you should be cutting out long pauses in your videos, any ums, ahs, and any deep breaths that you might be taking. So in the next module, the UGC upsell workshop, we go through some of the fundamental editing techniques you need to upsell your UGCs. So overall, this is a really good video. It sticks to all the principles taught in the creator workshop. Spatial awareness, check. 4 attributes, check. Hook, 3 points, and CTA, check. Once again, there's great spatial awareness from top to bottom. He's evenly distributed. Now, some of you might say, well, that's because he's edited himself in that way, but it doesn't necessarily work like that. So if you imagine you've recorded yourself leaning drastically to the left, no matter how you edit, zoom, whatever you want to do, you will still not be perpendicular. So a good measure of this is to make sure that your head is in the center of the video and the space on either side of your shoulder looks even. So again, his torso showing, and it's a great camera angle. You're able to see his hands and gestures. So before I move on to the 4 attributes, I want you to take heed on the fact that he's actually holding the physical product. And even when we create digital video ads, it's a great idea to show the product. It's a really engaging way to show the audience that you genuinely use that product. So watching the video over, it clearly shows that he has some level of authenticity for the product. Now the question that might be on your mind is, if you have received a product that you don't necessarily use, how do you go about creating authenticity for that? Well, like everything we're going to go through, the creator workshop answers the question. What you need to do is find a way to derive a passion to the problem that the product solves. So in this example, student A looks like someone who goes to the gym. Therefore, we can assume he feels some type of way about his hands. And you know, anyone who goes to the gym quite frequently, they know that you tend to get rough hands from picking up and putting down barbell weights and the constant grip that you're using. So what student A has done here is he's thought about the product and what it actually solves. So it allows you to get smoother hands, right? And then link that back to a passion or a feeling that he has about his own hands, which has allowed him to come off really authentic in the video. Mentally, he might not have actually followed that process because it genuinely seems like a product that he uses. But that concept is something you need to apply when creating a video ad. And you'd have done this with a digital video ad because the passion would come from the fact of being broke, and the real world allows you to make money. Emotive speech.
My knuckles felt dry, my palm felt dry, my fingertips felt dry, everything felt horrible.
So when he's describing the problem that he has with his knuckles feel dry, his hands feel dry, that is him applying emotive speech on top of authenticity. So remember, I always say these two are linked intrinsically. When speaking authentically about something, you naturally will apply some level of emotive speech. So he does this really well. Humor, he seems like he's in a comfortable place, and we know this from the previous lesson, but there's actually something I want to show you from the raw version of this.
So if you want to have soft, nice looking hands like my... Okay, alright, let me do that. Alright. God damn it. If you want to have nice and soft hands as well, then click the button to buy now.
Obviously, you can see here he's tripped up on his words. Usually men with soft hands is associated to something quite feminine. He's laughed it off, he's caught his breath, he's come back into the right state of mind, and then gone with a strong CTA. And energy, I think he's gone with a great steady energy throughout the video. It's not something that you're going to be super hyped about. It's not groundbreaking. At the end of the day, there's millions and millions of hand creams. Whereas something like the real world is one of a kind. It's something to actually apply energy by the truckload. So let's just rewind for a second and quickly touch on the overlay that he's added. It's a very clean and simple shot of the product, showing the product whilst he's talking. Great execution, it shows the product, and that's all you want to do. Do I have any negative for this video ad? No, not really. And remember, I'm not talking in terms of editing or anything along those lines, like fancy transitions or more overlays. I'm just generally talking about executing the format of a video ad, applying the principles that have been taught in the creator workshop. So now what I want you to do is find a product yourself and create a video ad using the principles from the creator workshop and submit them for me to review. This shouldn't be too difficult. You pass the final exam for the creator workshop. It's just a case of applying the same techniques and give it your best shot. Just before I close the video, if you're recording horizontally, nothing changes. We should be running the same spatial awareness, the same 4 attributes, hook, 3 points, and CTA. You want to try and keep your videos within the 60-second mark. The reason is check most of the video ads you encounter. They're usually not longer than 30 seconds. Again, this is something I'm going to talk about a lot more on the UGC upsell workshop. But for now, yeah, if you're recording horizontally, stick to the same principles. If, however, you're trying to master long form content, that's a whole separate conversation. And perhaps in the future, I will create a sub-module that's related to long form content, particularly for those who are trying to build their own personal brand. But a really cool way to look at this is a person who has a 20 or 30 minute video, they will still include an ad within that video, usually from brands that they're working with. And again, it will usually range anywhere between the 15-second to 60-second mark. But now we're starting to get into some of the content that I'll be going through on the UGC upsell workshop. Anyways, your task, find a physical product, create a video ad, submit them in for review, and I'll see you in the next lesson where we will be dissecting testimonials, which is really interesting because even though we think we're moving away from video ads, you'll start to realize just how important the foundation that you've built so far is in executing the rest of the formats. Okay, so welcome to the lesson on testimonials. So what is a testimonial? We can say that a testimonial is a great way for brands to let customers tell their story. What a testimonial does is highlight the product and the benefits of the product, whether that's physical or a digital product. So let's check out an example from student A.
Since I started using Weleda hand moisturizer, my hands haven't been as dry as they normally are. Before using Weleda, my hands were rough and always felt horrible. I use it twice a day now and my hands feel as soft as butter, and I can't recommend it enough.
This ad was actually rejected as a form of testimonial. But if we look at it from the creator workshop perspective, there are multiple things that are lacking. Where is the person? And it's part of authenticity. Most people connect with seeing a person. Now, even though they might not necessarily want to know your age, who you are, where you're from, and all of that type of stuff, but the fact that person's face is on the screen always is more engaging than just seeing the product and the hands. So look, let's go back over what a testimonial really is. It's a way for a brand to let customers tell their story. Now think about it. If you can't even see the customer or the person using it, then you're not really satisfying that description. And realistically, when you think about UGC as a whole, you're essentially satisfying two people's request to achieve the same outcome. That outcome being a sale. And the two people you need to win over is first the audience that will be watching the advertisement, and the next is the client. So does this ad look like it had either the audience or client in mind? And looping it back to the creator workshop, if you remember day 2 emotive speech, one of the practical exercises is around imagining your audience. And funnily enough, if you watch this advertisement back, there is no emotive speech. It's a very, very flat tone. And I can say this with great confidence, regardless of what format you're recording, showing your face is very important. It will build immediate rapport with your audience. And let's face it, right? If you're able to satisfy the audience, then you're also going to be doing the same with the client. So it's a win-win situation. You create a UGC, the client approves, the audience like, the outcome is a sale either side of the spectrum. But yeah, we don't need to dive too much more into this. Essentially, we always want to make sure that we satisfy the client's request and the audience, and we're on our way to winning UGC. So anyways, this ad was actually rejected. So let's take a look at the refilmed ad.
The Weleda hand moisturizer will change your life. So before I started using Weleda, my hands were always dry. They felt horrible. My knuckles felt horrible. I did not like it. I hated it. Since I started using Weleda for once or twice a day, my hands feel better, they look better, and also the dryness has gone away. They feel softer than ever, and it feels moisturized all day through. So if you're someone with dry hands, you should try Weleda.
Now look at this. It's carrying all the same fundamentals taught in the creator workshop. There's great spatial awareness, there's authenticity, there's emotive speech, there is humor, there is energy. Now we know the fundamentals and they're going to be applied across all of the formats. So where does the tweaking actually happen? The general gist that I've taught throughout the video so far is hook, 3 points, and CTA. Now 3 points is the area where you'll begin to tweak what you say in order to fulfill the format request. Now generally across the board, what you tend to find is when you direct someone to say 3 points, they usually say the problem and what the product solved, and that's the narrative you should always follow. Now with the testimonial, you also want to ensure that you try the product in the video, and if possible, show before and after. That's like an A-star testimonial. So let's dive deeper in the 3 points that he has used. Point number 1.
So before I started using Weleda, my hands were always dry. They felt horrible. My knuckles felt horrible. I did not like it. I hated it.
So there you go. Point number 1 is the problem. Before using this product, this was the problem he had.
Since I started using Weleda for once or twice a day, my hands feel better, they look better, and also the dryness has gone away.
So point number 2 is the product solving the problem.
They feel softer than ever, and it feels moisturized all day through.
And then so point number 3 is just reinforcing the benefits of the product. Now what's also been done is a couple of overlay shots of the product being used, which is great. Overall, a great testimonial ad. So as you can see, the subtle tweak in the 3 points is what has allowed this advertisement to change from a generic video ad into a testimonial. Now it's crucial to point out there really isn't that much of a change. So by now you're probably familiar with my teaching method, which is very direct. So I'm not going to cut any corners and tell you straight up, you do not upsell UGCs based on the format. Just to recap, when filming for a testimonial, the key thing is to describe what the problem is, how did the product solve it, try the product in the video, and if possible, show results before and after. Now just to blow your mind even further, you might turn around and say to me, well, how is this any different to a how-to advertisement? Well, truthfully, it's not, because let's face it, the overlay shots actually show how to use the cream. Thus technically we could get away with calling this a how-to advertisement. However, with that being said, I still want to show you the tweak for a how-to video, and that's something we're going to go through in the next lesson. Now what I want you to do is find another product and create a testimonial ad using the formula and the tweaks that I've given you in this lesson. And as always, feel free to post it in the review section. So at this point, you should be a lot further in your talk to camera skills. So feel free to cycle back into the creator workshop and give some positive criticism to some of the video submissions that are happening over there. So welcome to the next lesson in the UGC formats workshop. Before we move on to how-to video advertisements, let's just do a quick recap on some of the concepts from the previous lesson. So we know whenever we're filming an ad, we should keep in mind the audience and the client, and satisfying both of them allows for us to get a sale and for the client to get a sale. That's the name of the game, right? We should also understand by now that regardless of the format, the basic fundamentals remain the same. You apply the creator fundamental workshop across all types of format, and what you essentially need to do is tweak the 3 points. And when I say 3 points, that's me referring to one of the very first lessons that was taught in the creator workshop, which is around how you structure your ad, a hook, 3 points, and CTA. So as a general rule of thumb, you want to always discuss the problem you had and how the product has resolved that problem. Then somewhere along the lines, you want to satisfy what the format is. So in regards to a testimonial, you want to highlight the benefits of the product. Now, what is a how-to video? Essentially, a how-to video can be categorized as an explainer video, right? It's a video that explains how to use the product regardless of it being a digital or physical product. Now, where I see many people stumble on this is they completely disregard and forget the creator workshop fundamentals, and they'll just go ahead and create a video ad that is absolutely boring as hell. You open this like this, you press this, and then this happens, and then this happens. Like a very robotic explainer video. Yes, it's an explainer video, but that's not the way that you would execute the video. So let's check out an example.
This Senseo coffee machine has to be the best coffee machine out there. So in the past, I've used other coffee machines, they were way too complicated, took way too long, and never even tasted good. With the Senseo, however, all you need to do is pour some water in, get your pad, put it in there, close it, and press play to go. So the next time you feel drained or need some extra energy, you can get your coffee fast and tasteful with the Senseo coffee machine. And all of that while it doesn't even cost a fortune. So click the link in my bio to get one for yourself.
Okay, so at this point, you should all have the fundamentals in place. So there's no need for me to go over spatial awareness, and there's no need for me to deep dive into the 4 attributes. What we will be doing for the remainder of these lessons is focusing predominantly on the 3 points. That's where the tweaking happens. Point number 1.
So in the past, I've used other coffee machines, they were way too complicated, took way too long, and never even tasted good.
So great point. What he's essentially done here is, rather than talking about the specific problem he has had, he's compared it against other machines that he has used, which is also a great idea, but I would have gone down the route of most people who are coffee drinkers. The problem that they might have is not every time you purchase a coffee from wherever you purchase it, it's going to be the same tasting coffee. There's also the fact that, you know, you've got to go out to a specific place, purchase a coffee. That could be another pain. When thinking about the problem, you need to think about the audience's pain. So what pain would a coffee drinker experience? The type of person that's going to purchase a coffee product or any product when creating an ad, you need to always remember to start with the pain that person might experience. It could even be a financial pain, right? Some people spend a ridiculous amount on coffee and they don't even realize it, but that's me drilling down specifically on this product. So let's look at point 2.
With the Senseo, however, all you need to do is pour some water in, get your pad, put it in there, close it, and press play to go.
Okay, so this is where the magic happens, right? Point 2 is actually the explainer part of the video. It's very straight and direct. Do this, and do this, and boom, you've got your coffee. And that's the key to a how-to video. You don't need to make a 60-second reel saying do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's boring. It doesn't work. What you want to do is exactly what he's done here. He's used one of the 3 points within his video to show how to use the product, and on top of that, he's added a few overlay shots, which is always great.
So the next time you feel drained or need some extra energy, you can get your coffee fast and tasteful with the Senseo coffee machine.
And then he's used point 3 to basically wrap off the highlights of the benefits of buying this product. So again, a no bullshit ad, a hook, 3 points, and a CTA, and within the 3 points, he has included how to use the product. So what I'd like you to do now is find a physical product and create a video how to add and submit your submission for everybody to review. If I had to point out any particular criticism in this video, it would actually be around the scenery or settings that it's recorded in. Sometimes it's always good to film where that product is most likely going to be used. So for example, a coffee machine, right? I would associate the coffee machine being in a kitchen. Similar to some of the hand cream videos we watched previously, they may have been better if they were recorded in a bathroom environment. Same with reviewing sports equipment. You might be better off recording the sports equipment at your gym, but this all is about your bandwidth in terms of comfortability. If you're at that point where you can truly speak to a camera in any environment, then you're at a higher advantage than most people. So you can go anywhere that's related to the product and record. Anyway, as always, if you're feeling overwhelmed with any of the videos that you're creating, feel free to tag me and I'll provide feedback straight away. See you in the next lesson. Honest review. One of the most simplistic advertisements to conquer. However, with that being said, I did notice that many students find the authenticity module in the Creator Fundamentals workshop quite difficult. And this style of advertisement is a great example of where authenticity really matters. So what is honest review? Well, a genuine opinion about the product. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, it's an honest review, which is why with most of the UGC formats that you'll be recording will be charged at a very similar price. This, however, will be charged cheaper. There's pros and cons to it, right? Think about it from a brand perspective. If I'm a brand, I want an honest review. At the same time, I want to ensure that the money that I'm spending on having my advert created and also then promoting the advert is to help me gain sales. Like I said in the previous 2 lessons, the aim of the game is to get more sales. That is what an advertisement is for. Yes, there is some element of brand awareness, but really what are we all here for? To make money. And that's the bottom line. We are creative problem solvers, whether that's through a service, a product. The idea is a mutual benefit to either side of the coin, whether you're the brand or the customer. The customer receives something that I need to help my life, and the brand in exchange receives payment for it. And that's just like a really simple way of thinking of it. But in all fairness, when you look at the bottom line, if I, a brand, was to receive an honest review that wasn't that great, you might not necessarily like the product, right? It's why for a brand not to promote that. So whereas with the rest of the formats, everything is about the benefits and highlighting the use of the product. And as always, authenticity should be key when delivering your storytelling within the 3 points. But this is probably one of the few formats where most brands might shy away from, unless they've completely dialed in their target audience. They know they have a very high possibility that the honest review that you're going to give will not produce any negative feedback, which is cool. But from your perspective, it's fairly simple. You just give an honest review, and all you're basically doing is taking the authenticity module and bumping it up, allowing you to give a genuine review of the product. Okay, so let's look at an example.
I've used these GBL headphones for over 2 years now, and here's my honest review on it. So for over 2 years, the sound has always been working perfectly fine. And aside from that, the Bluetooth has never had any problems with it. Only bad thing I have to say about this headphone is that the size of the headphone is a bit smaller than other headphones out there. But the best thing for me personally about this headphone is that they are the most durable headphones that I've ever seen. When I used to go to the gym, I always threw my headphones around, always threw them at the ground because I got mad after failing the PR, etc. And all the headphones before this one always broke, but these always stayed intact. So it's like the most durable headset I've ever owned. So if you would like to get yourself some GBL headphones, then click the link in my bio to get yours now.
So clearly still has all the same good ingredients, spatial awareness, 4 key attributes, and we can tell that the authenticity is dialed in quite well. You'll also find this with most honest review ads. The hook usually contains something along the lines of, here's my honest review about this product. And again, depending on what the brand strategy is or what they're thinking about doing in terms of advertising, sometimes these videos can have mass appeal simply because normally most people are accustomed to hearing, oh, this is great, that's great, everything's great, and it doesn't necessarily come off as super authentic. But once you include some form of shade on the product, it usually allows the customer to kind of think, oh, well, actually, this does seem like a genuine review. But what a lot of creators tend to fail on is the shade that they might cast is usually really bad. So you want to try and avoid that, right? You're still working with the brand. You know, if it is something that doesn't necessarily suit you, then you deliver that in a very systematic and simple way. Again, using the 3-point method. So let's just break down the 3 points on this JBL honest review.
So for over 2 years, the sound has always been working perfectly fine. And aside from that, the Bluetooth has never had any problems with it.
Point 1 highlights the personal benefits he has from the product.
Only bad thing I have to say about this headphone is that the size of the headphone is a bit smaller than other headphones out there.
So he does that really good, right? It's like a subtle blend of, it's kind of saying to the audience that besides this point, everything else is great. And I do like how it's subtly included as the second point in the 3 points.
But the best thing for me personally about this headphone is that they are the most durable headphones that I've ever seen. When I used to go to the gym, I always threw my headphones around, always threw them at the ground because I got mad after failing the PR, etc. And all the headphones before this one always broke, but these always stayed intact. So it's like the most durable headset I've ever owned.
Overall, the key takeaway for an honest review advertisement, just be honest. And always remember, no one really likes a negative person. So if you've got some shade to throw about the product, do it in a way that also radiates positivity to the other attributes of the product. It's called an honest review on the basis that it is an honest review. Now, some of you may say, well, how am I supposed to give an honest review on a product I've only just received? Obviously, that's a conversation that you should have with the brand that you're working with. You can say things like, hey, can I get a week to use this product? Can I get X amount of time? And to be totally honest with you, you can genuinely find out how much a product serves you within 24 to 48 hours of using it. So what I want you to do, and to make your life super simple, is find a product that you genuinely use on a day-to-day and create an honest review of it. And what I'd specifically like you to do, let's just say the product that you're thinking of reviewing is fantastic on all metrics for you. Try not to review that product. I'd like you to try and find a product that is relatively good, has maybe one fault on it, and try practicing how you go about embedding or dialing up the authenticity in the 3 hooks. As always, make sure you drop your submission into the honest review submissions chat. Feel free to go back and provide some positive feedback to some of the creators that are in the creator workshop, some of the submissions that are in the UGC formats workshop. And if you feel super stuck, tag me and I'll be there to give you feedback as well. Catch you in the next lesson. So let's unpackage an unboxing video advertisement. So believe it or not, an unboxing video is something that's sought after by many brands and companies you might work with. And that's simply now because many companies and brands take the time to make the unpacking experience quite special. It's the stage that presents the main event to you as the consumer and you digest it. And the reason these videos have become so addictive is the basic emotion of excitement that you're able to pass through the video. It's that enjoyment of something for the first time. And from the company's perspective, it's a great way to verify the product. And consumers who are interested in purchasing the product but haven't hit go, an unboxing video is a great practical way for a potential consumer to see the excitement or disappointment from another like-minded individual. It's really simple, right? You see the product being taken out of the box and potentially used for the first time by a real person. You're able to see the product and whether it looks like how it was advertised. Showing the product in your video is essential, and within an unboxing video is more essential than ever. Usually, if you ever work with a company or brand who have asked specifically for an unboxing video, that's because it's most likely part of their marketing strategy. From a business perspective, unboxing is reaching people in the most honest and non-commercial way. Essentially, it's a person who became your customer and decided to share the experience of your product. So let's just say a company and brand has overcome the hurdle of finding an actually desirable product. What they're now doing is focusing on the experience of unboxing a product, and that's where the whole unboxing experience comes into play. Okay, so how does this all fit into everything we've learned so far? Let's break down an example.
All of the gym rats, just like me, I've just received the package from Body and Fit. Let's check it out. I'm really excited for this. Alright, so it comes in this bubble wrap so the supplements don't break. Ooh, let me get the one that caught my eye first. This is really good. This is really good. Vital proteins, collagen peptides, whatever it is. This is my zinc and magnesium tablets. It looks premium. Same with this one. It also looks premium. It's ashwagandha, but look at how that looks. It's clean, simple, macro roots. And for the last product, the bonus that I received from them, which is free. Protein, chips, whatever it is. And I can tell you, oh, it tastes crazy good. So this is what the whole box contains. Everything is inside of there. All of this was just for a whopping 60 or 70 bucks. All of this. And Body and Fit blessed me with a discount code that I can give to you guys. So use code 10% at checkout so you can get 10% off and get cheap, amazing supplements like these.
So believe it or not, that's a very difficult unboxing video to do. Why? One, I don't think there's necessarily any due care attention to the boxing or the package that was actually received. It's a cardboard box, not much to really say about it. And then on top of that, there's also multiple products within the box, so almost like a care package that's been received from Body and Fit. It's gym stuff. From a UGC creator perspective, there's clearly a strong element of authenticity. It still has the same ingredients. We can see there's a clear hook, there's 3 points and a CTA. Let's dive a bit deeper, so let's start with the hook.
All of the gym rats, just like me, I've just received the package from Body and Fit. Let's check it out.
So great hook, right? It straight away breaks the need for any random person, so to speak, to watch it. Very targeted at a specific audience for all the gym rats. Brilliant way to catch the attention of those who would be interested in this type of product.
I'm really excited for this. Alright, so it comes in this bubble wrap so the supplements don't break. Ooh, let me get the one that caught my eye first. This is really good. This is really good. Vital proteins, collagen peptides, whatever it is. This is my zinc and magnesium tablets. It looks premium. Same with this one. It also looks premium. It's ashwagandha, but look at how that looks.
Okay, so that's an absolute masterclass right there. I've mentioned this previously in the Creator Fundamentals workshop, and it's about understanding how you can engage with the camera or the audience. And what he's actually done is he's saying that the product looks premium. He's leaned over and showed the product specifically to the camera. And at the same time, he's also gone through this kind of emotional stage of unboxing. He's opened the box and he's literally like, let me just show you the first thing that's caught my mind. And that's a great way of just being authentic and genuinely showing what's first caught his attention, what it looks like. It's really simple and clear cut.
And for the last product, the bonus that I received from them, which is free. Protein, chips, whatever it is. And I can tell you, oh, it tastes crazy good. So this is what the whole box contains. Everything's inside of there. All of this was just for a whopping 60 or 70 bucks. All of this.
And then from the hats off to the brand and the company, they've obviously included something that was for free, not necessarily something that he ordered, and he's made a little bit of a spectacle or almost kept the engagement of the audience. From an editing perspective, and this is the type of conversations we're going to get into the upsell workshop, you can notice that cuts are very clean, very short and very concise, and that's simply just because there's multiple products. If it was just a single product, then you would go into more depth about the product and the unboxing itself. So let me give you an example. If you had an iPhone or an Apple unboxing, we all know that the experience provided by Apple in terms of the unboxing is amazing. So it gives you the opportunity to talk about what the packaging is like, what does it look like, how does it feel to open it, how does it feel to then take out this iPhone that you've got, and then you can talk about the design of the iPhone, the product itself. Whereas something like this, which has multiple products, and you're probably in this 60-second time frame, is edited it in a way that is just cut, and boom, pull them all together, so a person gets a feeling of what's actually happening in the unboxing process. So the product is being seen by whoever is viewing the video, and this is something that we need to make sure that we implement across all of our videos. Make sure you are showing the product, you're not just talking about the product. There are potentially some elements missing from an overlay perspective, but this is where it can get a bit difficult because you want to ensure that you capture your true authentic feeling whilst opening the package. Now the only way to truly do that and capture overlay shots of you cutting open the box is to have multiple cameras. Essentially one camera, your main camera that's recording you, and perhaps another camera that's arched over recording you unboxing the video. But this doesn't necessarily matter too much, and this leans more to one of the first lessons that we're going to go through in an upsell workshop. We will actually be discussing what constitutes as a basic video or a premium video and what you're offering to your client or brand that you're working with. And something where you have this kind of dual angle filming and unboxing video begins to lean more towards the premium side. So let's put a pin in that for a second. And what I'd like you to do is do something similar. Maybe you've got a product on order that you can actually do a review on. Maybe you've got something that's in a box, perhaps a games console that you was planning to sell, or I don't know, anything along those lines. Get it in front of you and practice doing an unboxing video. Submit your submission into the unboxing submission chat. Tag me if you'd personally like me to review it. There's no deviations required. A hook, 3 points, and a CTA. Your 3 points are predominantly about opening the product and describing your feelings once opening the product. And if you need me to give you a really rigid script, those 3 points would essentially be: number 1, opening or unboxing the product; number 2, a reference to the product or the feeling you've had whilst opening the product. And if the packaging's great, then you can talk about something to do with the packaging. And number 3 would be essentially about the product itself. So catch you in the next lesson where we will be discussing the last and final UGC format. So let's discuss the last of the UGC formats, which is the promo. Now, if you remember at the start of this workshop, I said don't get caught up too much on the names, because as you've traveled through this workshop, you've noticed that many of the videos are essentially video ads, just with some tweaking applied to them. In terms of a promo, what it essentially is an explainer video, but for digital products only. So you follow the same principles as outlined: hook, 3 points, and a CTA. However, in a similar manner to how we describe an explainer video advertisement, you would include something that either shows or explains a benefit of the product. All you'll essentially be doing is running through the app and explaining how it works, and it does continuously highlighting the benefit of the product. So let's have a look at an example.
This is why the real world is the best platform to make money online. So I've had coaching before, I've done one-on-ones before, I've had other platforms that I've been in before, but nothing compares to the real world. The real world has this one aspect that no other platform has, and that is the millionaire professors you have access to every single day. You can literally log in on your phone, go to one of the chats inside of the real world, and ask the professors anything and everything you want 24 hours a day. And you're guaranteed to get a reply from a millionaire professor with his thoughts on whatever problem you are facing. And you also have a brotherhood you can rely on. You have people that are rooting for you, that want you to make money, that want to help you make money, that are looking out for you, that are keeping you accountable on making money every single day. So if you want to surround yourself with a brotherhood and with millionaires that can answer your questions any time of the day, then click the link in my bio to join the real world right now.
So this ad has all the normal attributes we are accustomed to. I do feel like there could have been more authenticity about it and more of a explaining how the app works. And that's the only shade I can really cast on this ad. It still utilizes the power of highlighting what the benefits of the app are. And I mean, if I look closer, that might be something that student A truly feels is the power behind the real world, which of course it is, but there's many. And sometimes when I'm gauging and looking at UGC content that is presented to me, I'm looking for unique stories, something that is almost particular to the journey that you are on. And that's really key when it comes to authenticity. The truth of the matter is most content, and in particular UGC, that authenticity is absolutely fundamental. It's what brands are looking for. It's what companies are looking for. So I'm not going to dwell too much on breaking the whole ad down itself. So asking a question to millionaire professors. He's then screen recorded himself asking a question. He's also talked about the community. The screen recording is more related to the lessons within the real world. And generally it does give a consumer who may be interested in the product some insight within the digital product itself. And that's key here. Most brands that will ask you to create content that shows their digital product is usually because they're reaching out to audiences that may be on the tipping edge of purchasing that digital product. What I want you to do is find a digital product that you're experienced in, or you have some insight and some knowledge of the marketing, have ability to use the app, and feel free to think out the box, right? So for example, if you're training and you're monitoring calories, you might be using MyFitnessPal. That's an app that allows you to track calories, for example. You could do a video advertisement on that, and you could be really clever with it, right? You could be eating food, you could show the app logging in your calories. There's multiple different ways of doing this, but the core fundamentals always stay the same. And remember that a promo is very similar to an explainer. As always, feel free to post your submissions in the relevant chat. Talk to your peers, see what works for you, see what doesn't. If you need any help, tag me, tag the captains. Once you've done this, feel free to jump into the next lesson where we will be discussing the entire UGC format from a bird's eye perspective. Catch you in the next one.